lost, there's always a hope. Rise and fight.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to BSL Race Wars. My name's Doc Holiday, and of course, joining me today we have Seriosity. How you doing, man?
Hey, Doc. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. You know, I didn't know I'd be casting till 40 minutes ago, so I woke up. I was like, "Oh, what are we doing today?" Check my messages, and Zira's like, "Hey, do you want to cast today?" And I was like, "Oh, okay. Let me put some pants on." So I got up, I threw some pants on, I got some breakfast in me, and I'm ready to watch some StarCraft, dude. And then I made a Trovo account, and I spelled my name really weird. I'm Doc Howell a day, so I gotta redo that.
Well, all right. Have you seen any of the earlier days of the event?
I have not yet, although I have heard that my friend G5 was gonna cast one. It looks like he's playing today. We were talking a little bit beforehand. I heard we even saw some sparkle, all that. But you know, I gotta say, man, the racial distribution of points here is not surprising. You know, the hardest race definitely doing the worst, and of course the easiest race doing the best, you know?
Well, first 2 days was a pretty clean sweep from Protoss. Neither Terran nor Zerg could get too many points. Yesterday, it actually came down to the wire with the final match, I think, was Tech against Ultra, and with like insane goon control. Like, I'm talking Bisu on that 2-player map where he just kills mines over and over again with Dragoons. Doing that Tech won for Team Protoss, but yesterday was really close. Really felt like any other teams could have won yesterday, and I kind of feel that way today looking at the lineups we have.
Yeah, I have to say, the lineups are extremely strong for all three races. I think that when we're looking at the lineups today, I think either Zerg or Terran probably has I would say the expected winningest race lineups today. I don't want to count Protoss out. Of course, they still have really good players on their team as well. But we have some titans of the community on the Zerg and Terran team today. Seeing True Touch and Sziky on the same team is terrifying. I really expect to see Zerg perform really well. And you know, having a strong Zerg lineup never is a great thing for Protoss, unfortunately. So we'll have to see how that goes, but I really hope to see Zerg put up some points, because I think everyone likes to see good representation of all the races. And you know, seeing a measly 2 points for Zerg thus far feels a little bad as a Zerg faithful myself.
I really feel like this is the day, and we do have interesting maps. Gotta say, Sparkle in particular kind of flips the script. Zerg is good against Terran on that map, and Terran is good against Protoss. So we're probably gonna see a lot of strategy when the incoming player gets to pick the map.
Yeah, I'm surprised to hear that anyone's picked Sparkle so far, but it sounds like, you know, I feel like there's a couple people out there that just really love playing on it. And of course, it's a very unique playstyle. Doing island maps and all that stuff certainly plays to a particular type of player's skill set. And I think it's a great way to kind of, like, you know, switch it up on otherwise unfavored matchup. Like, very excited. Hopefully we see someone pick something like that again, because I'm not gonna lie, I love maps like Polypoid and Circuit Breakers and Sylphid and stuff, but I like to get it mixed up every once in a while. So there's some good maps out here that we could potentially see pulled out as Tech versus other players. Do we know who we're starting with today? Okay, gonna be True Touch versus Terror, so that is going to be pretty interesting one. ZVT is always I think my favorite matchup to watch. How do you think this is going to work out? Because I haven't seen too much of TrueTouch's play recently, but of course he's always been, you know, the peak of like Zerg play in the foreign scene.
Well, True Touch, very, very strong ZVT. We did see him lose over and over again just to mech in BSL, and I'm sure Terra watched that. But it really comes down to the map, and Terra is not one to go mech, though he does have it in his repertoire. He really likes to go bio, maybe 1-1-1. He's very aggressive, as you know, so it could go either way.
Mech has been such a force for the last, I don't know, would you say like year and a half or something like that? It's such a tricky type of play style to play against as a Zerg. Like it's so tempo oriented. Like I feel like if things don't go right in the early game for Zerg, it can be really difficult for them in the late game. True Touch, of course, has excellent mutaless micro, but Muta can be really hard to leverage versus mech, since it's so stable, just kind of hanging out on two bases while it kind of gets its upgrades and gets an army together. I mean, are you expecting to see Terra pull out mech? Like as he said, you know, it's not something that he tends to lean towards, but
I don't think so. I think we'll just see bio from him, and from True Touch, just 2-hatch Muta. But the thing is, Terra really likes to stay on 2 base for a really long time and just go and attack and keep the pressure on Zerg.
Alrighty, let's see.
Well then, and of course, Protoss is going to be coming in next, and they're going to pick the map against either of the winner of this match. And look, you can see BSL, Terras versus Zerg, very strong matchup.
Wow, 64.7%. Yeah, that is a pretty incredible statistic. I still feel like Terror. I just feel like mech is such an interesting style that's shown a lot of promise, like versus a lot of the foreigner Zergs. I am a little surprised that Terror's a little resistant to pull that out.
Look at True Touch with the favorite matchup, the insane Zerg versus Zerg pick. How many Zergs do you know that actually like ZVZ the most?
Well, up until seeing this slide, I didn't think that anyone like that's like a psychotic pick, right? That's like potential personality disorder. Like I feel like that's in like the DSM or whatever. Like I just it's such a like masochistic thing for that to be like your favorite matchup. It's just, I don't know. Whenever I play it just feels like no fun. If I win, it's no fun. If I lose, it's no fun. But I guess, you know, when you're as good as True Touches, there's a lot less of the RNG in the matchup. You know, you have the Zergling control and the mutalist control to like flip all of the weird like pseudo coin tosses on their head and turn it around and, you know, make a 12 pool going into a 12 hatch, you know, and leverage your early Zergling speed and stuff like that to make that an okay matchup. So, but even still, it's just maybe True Touch is like, you know, the type player like likes 2v2 versus more than 1v1, where they just want the constant micro battles from the very start of the game. But like for me, dude, I relish in the times where I can just make drones and like relax for like, you know, a couple minutes. But guess not, dude, because that is a cutthroat matchup that does not stop.
Yep, and well, you can see he likes micro more than macro, so it makes sense.
Oh man, it's just nonstop. I don't know. It's so anxiety inducing for most of the Zerg players that I know. Even like higher level Zerg players, like you see people in the foreigner scene, you know, want to race pick that matchup. You'll see Zergs choose the Protoss versus other Zergs instead of playing Zerg versus Zerg. So yeah, that's quite the aberration, but certainly interesting. I love this, by the way. This screen grabs from the Discord. Alrighty, guys. Well, it sounds like we are just about ready to go, so let's go ahead and hop on into our first match. Alrighty, guys, and in the top right-hand corner, spawning as the blue Terran, we have Terror, aka Dogecoin holder.
And in the bottom right, we have True Touch in the color red.
So is Terror a crypto bro? Is that something that he talks about a lot, or is he just memeing?
I think it's just trolling.
That's great. I love the foreign scene, man. Everyone's got everyone has like a chance to express their personality. You get like a good feel for all the players because it's such like an insular kind of like family affair when it comes to tournaments and stuff like that. And Terra's such a great little memer. I love his stream too, man. He's quite entertaining when you get talking to him.
My favorite nick I've seen in either foreign or Korean scene is the nick Sylphid utilizes, which is need money. It looks like we have a proxy Rex in the middle of the map from Terra, and like I said, Terra likes to be aggressive, and because it's proxy Rex, I'm waiting to see if this is going to be into 1-1-1 or if this is going to be just a barracks expand. And I think because it's so far in the middle of the map, I think this is definitely going to be a 1-1-1 follow-up.
Terra's such a characteristic play. Like you can always bet on him doing something a little wonky. Best of ones, also a really great time to do this kind of stuff because you don't have, any kind of fallback. And a lot of players will go into this not expecting something crazy. So just making the match weird is going to make this very, very difficult, I think, for True Touch, just to get in the mental game because it sets everything off. So it looks like we do have the gas and everything followed up. So very likely to be correct. And we do have the scout gonna completely miss that. And so going for the hatch before pull, this could be a really great setup into a bunch of early damage here.
Well, this drone coming from the top should okay, he's gonna come. This overlord, how far is it actually gonna go in? This drone should definitely go across and then he'll spot it. And Chuchich is going into 2 hatch. Fortunately for him, this was a 12 hatch 11 pull, not 12 pull. But there are the Marines getting pulled up, and that drone is actually going to top left, so he's not going to see this. You can see all the larva has been spent on drones.
Oh man, this is really unfortunate. We could have a pretty significant amount of damage going down here immediately. Marine's going to come in here and start doing some early harassment, force a lot of early Zerg. Or Zerglings might even see some drones being pulled off here, but then the factory follow-up going to be pretty devastating as it's really difficult to get down, you're sunken and everything like that to defend versus, a vulture early on here, especially once you've had to commit already to early lings. Your economy just gets totally wrecked here. Alrighty, so Marines getting behind the mineral line here with the SCV blocking for them. The drones getting all kinds of confused and flipping around all over them. We have very little mining going on right now here, going to really do a ton of damage to the economy here for True Touch. We don't see a sunken coming down yet or anything either. So this vulture is going to come very quickly and be able to micro against the Zerglings. True Touch is going to need to put a lot of work in here. There we go, sunken going to be on time, it looks like, just in time to stop the vulture, but we do have starports now coming down in the main as well. So, man, this is a lot of missed mining time here.
Yeah, and you see the barracks has been floated off. 3 Marines and the SCV die there, but it forced so much lost mining time from True Touch, and Terra is following us up with 1-1-1. Is it just going to be the 1 starport? Looks like, yeah. True Touch sees the vulture coming his way, so now he has a full read on what Terra is doing. Fortunately for him, he didn't overmake lings, only made 6, realizing Terra wasn't really committing to bunker rushing this, so it definitely was a 1-1-1 follow-up.
Yeah, an excellent response by True Touch. He even moves his overlord a little closer towards the Terran base, realizing that that's where he's spawning, wants to see what kind of units are moving out. So he does see the vulture moving out right away. He should know that there isn't quite a threat coming in that's going to be game ending, so long as he makes a couple hydras to deal with any potential wraith here. We're gonna have to see though if it's going to be Wraith or if it's going to be dropship follow-up. It looks like likely it's going to be dropship follow-ups to see additional vultures being produced. We don't see, you know, oh no, never mind. Even still though, going to be very interesting. What do you think the plan is here? Is it going to transition to Spire after an initial couple of Hydralisks for defense, or are we going to see kind of a four hatch Hydra play against this?
Well, it's interesting what Terra's doing because he doesn't have an add-on on either. This is a lot of vultures. Looks like we're sacking even the Overlord just to get more information. And I think this is wise. He's gonna get to see at least a control tower. And actually this floated barracks actually landed and made a couple Marines. Somehow True Touch got sent to that. And even though these Marines don't kill anything, they get scouting information as well, which is crucial. Because now he sees True Touch doesn't even have a lair. He's still on a hatchery tech. That was a lot of Hydras to make if it's just anti-Wraith defense. And this is going to be a third hat. And I think True Touch will just transition into macro out of this. It's just making units to defend. And we actually have a Goliath here.
Oh my gosh.
This is completely perplexing. And I think this is really going to catch Terra off guard.
These mind games have been crazy. He cancels a control tower, throws down a machine shop on his factory, starts his CC now. True Touch probably really making some wrong assumptions about the tech path that's going to happen here. I think he'll be probably fine at this point, so long as he just starts making those drones. This Wraith not going to do very much damage as they just tickle drones to death over many shots here. Doing his best to get, you know, what damage he can do. Maybe he's going to get another Overlord here, which is going to be pretty nice little bonus. Pretty difficult to get these kills on the Overlord with only a single Wraith versus a bunch of Hydralisks.
They're trying to get one Overlord, but he's getting full scouting information. This is good for him. Can't lose a Wraith. Really can't lose a Wraith. You want to keep seeing what Zerg is up to. Makes a tank here. There's that cancel control tower from earlier. I think once Terra realized what True Touch was doing, he canceled because he knows drop isn't likely to get anything done, and it's more important to get a tank in case this is an attack.
Yeah, he does get to see kind of like the overall production that True Touch has going on right now. Sees a fairly sizable army, but nothing that's going to indicate that he's just going to go for like a gigantic all-in attack. There's still a significant number of drones as well, so seeing these lings getting built though should indicate that something is happening here. Siege tank on the high ground with some chunky units on the low ground, though, should be enough to hold this off, but there is a really huge army about to crash into his natural expansion. Double siege tank now on the high ground should make sure that doesn't end the game, though.
Here we go. Hydras and Lings coming in to Terra's natural. This is a lot of units. Terra does have the ramp. Pulling SCVs, though. Lings on top of the vultures. You can see the tank splash. If not targeting Hydras, actually kill Terran's own units.
Oh my gosh, the high ground misses by these Hydralisks, though. These tanks are lasting an incredibly long time.
Oh man, this tank was one hit away from getting killed. Absolutely crucial to get at least one tank here. I feel like that was a lot of units thrown away to get mostly just vultures.
And now the Wraith comes in and gets his very deserved second Overlord to kill. But yeah, that was a ton. And, you know, those Lings did an awesome job clutching it out on the ramp, just barely stopping the Lings from getting up on the high ground and stopping the tanks from shelling away on the low ground. And now Terra's got to feel pretty comfortable here. At least for now, he's going to be able to secure that natural expansion and start hanging out for a little bit. I have to ask, man, do you think he's going to just kind of commit to this full mech style, or are we going to see any kind of Marine production? We haven't seen any barracks. So, I mean, how comfortable do you think that Terra is with playing this kind of playstyle?
I think very good, especially after you just saw True Touch throw away a lot of units. The thing is, Terra's expansion was really late in comparison, right? Because he made Starport, Wraith, even a tank before he landed that command center at the natural. So economically, True Touch is fine, but he did throw away a lot of units, and now we see Terra going into 5-pack. There's probably going to be some kind of 1-1 timing, and True Touch is going to have either a lot of Hydras or Mutalisks to combat this, and looks like he's wanting to switch into Mutalisk. But he's also getting an evolution chamber for that +1 attack on the Hydras potentially. Nice drone kill there on the Vulture.
Man, that was close. If that drone had gone down, it would have been a lot of extra time it would have taken to transfer a new drone over to the third expansion there. I love the Wraith though. It just keeps getting repaired, keeps going in, gets all the information that Terra needs to kind of make his plan and time out his build and everything like that. We do have the macro hatchery coming down in the main, so just heading towards big economy. This is kind of like exactly what you want to do as a Zerg player. I'm curious, do you think we're going to see any kind of queen play at all, or just going to stick with the mass Mutalisk? I find that Mutalisk does really great until kind of late into the game when they're the Terran player is able to start adding on those science vessels, and that makes it very difficult. But with so many hatcheries, and on 3 expansions, I'm likely going to be 4 eventually here. There's going to be just such a ridiculous number of Mutalisks in the air, and I'm even curious, do we have armor or anything on the way? We'll have to see.
Like Terra got +1, and that should be a science facility going down in his main. And I think he should be careful. It's actually Nibe. This isn't that many Goliaths.
No, not at all. There's a lot of use.
He's got to be careful. He could get overrun. This army that's going out for the attack is less than a controlled group of Goliaths. So even though they do have +1, if True Touch just makes Mutas nonstop, I feel like he can clean this up.
Oh, I like the staggered pattern that we have these sunken in as well. Gonna force siege up kind of like further back and allow for more time for Mutalisks to get massed up here.
You see what he's doing? He's cutting off reinforcements so that when he decides to attack, it'll only be this army. It won't be supported by any more Goliaths. And looks like he's about ready to go for the attack after a couple Goliaths got taken out by the sunken.
Here we go. He's supporting Lings coming in here to add additional DPS on the ground as well. And those Lings just make such a big difference. Like any Lings that can get on these
getting targeted. The Spire actually went down by those tanks. That's actually a pretty big deal because at least Terror knows there won't be any more Mutalisks. He'll just build towards a decent Goliath number, and then he could just focus on tank. And in case there's a Hydra switch, it looks like I thought the Hydra, I mean the Spire placement was good because it's harder to scout, but it backfired right there for True Touch, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, True Touch doesn't really have any kind of potential for counterattack as the Goliath count's going to seriously outpace the Mutalisk for quite some time. And by that time, we should have vessels on the field as well. So curious what the follow-up is going to be here for True Touch. Going Mutas at this point is kind of spooky, you know? You basically have to get something done here right now with them.
Yeah, because you think about it, yeah, sure, losing the Spire sucks because he can't get more Mutalisks, but critically, he can't get any upgrades either. And these Goliaths already have +1, the Mutalisks aren't going to have +1, so it's less likely that he's ever going to make Mutalisks. So you can see he's actually going into drones to switch into Hydras, and I think that early evolution chamber has allowed him to get +1 attack for these Hydralisks.
This is going to be so scary, though. There's a ton of Goliaths on the ground now. We have a very small ground army, and the Mutalisks are kind of almost obsolete at this point. Huge number of Goliaths coming in here. It's going to be difficult to continue to secure bases for True Touch, as that's something that he's going to really need to be able to do if he's going to try to go for a ground army type of style here. We have the Goliaths now coming into the 3rd expansion. Only 1 sunken at the top here, so this is a very attackable base. Now, the Goliaths getting a little choked up here in the on the ramp, having a hard time getting up to destroy that expansion, but once they do, the Hydralisks are not going to be able to walk up behind them and be effective at all.
Yeah, the Mutalisks are tanking a lot of fire here, though. Only about 13 Goliaths left, but they have a fantastic position here on this high ground. Really hard for reinforcing Hydras to engage.
Oh my gosh, look how ineffective the Hydralisks are shooting up the ramp. Only like 5 Goliaths being able to choke up that ramp completely. And this is disaster for True Touch, because he really needs those additional bases in order to go for a huge Hydra army. Playing ground versus mech is extremely difficult, as mech trades so efficiently. You need crazy amounts of production in order to be able to fight these armies. And look at all these Hydralisks just barely able to hit the Goliaths on the top of the ramp.
Looks like he's finally gonna break through, but I think the damage has been done. The drone line has been pulled, but several drones got lost. And like I said, the Hydras at least do have +1, but look at the army deficit True Touch now has. Terra even expanding behind this. I mean, Terra at this point, he doesn't fear Mutalisk switch. He knows he's ahead on upgrades, and he already has a science facility.
Oh man, we even had a drop here in the main as well, and just denying mining all over the place. You know, I mean, like, True Touch is reeling from this attack here. He's got half the supply of the Terran, and when you're fighting mech, you really don't want to be down at all on any supply whatsoever. And as you said, now that the threat of needleless switch is essentially zero, you know, going into tank is great. You can feel super comfortable in making just an incredibly powerful ground versus ground army. Don't need to worry about your Goliath count so much. They're going to kind of add, of course, the meat and potatoes to the mech army, but the tanks are going to be so good versus the Hydralisks, and you're so comfortable making them because you know that there's no threat of air attack.
And especially with the upgrades Terra is going to be working on. I think he has 2-2 on the way. Already has vultures with vulture speed. And here comes another big attack, as he knows True Touch is really wanting to drone, so not giving him the opportunity to do so. Even some mines connecting, unfortunately, there for True Touch.
Yeah, big mine hits there. The one tank getting focused down pretty immediately. Second one just shows up here. That was a really nice snipe, gonna slow down this push, but wow, even Goliath drops happening here still at the third base. Terra is running wild with his multitask. A little unfortunate that that dropship got sniped out, but even still, just putting pressure on all over, just making sure that Terra is not able to mine at all.
Yep, now 2 tanks, and the position here is going to be constantly reinforced, and True Touch is just going to have to buy time. He does have +2 on his Hydralisk, but that one tank on the high ground is going to be very hard to pick off.
Yeah, and setting up these buildings in front of the tank position as well is going to be really annoying. Very similar to how in PvP you put those pylons in front. Of course, having a turret also, you know, just nice in general, but man, look at this. The Hydra's just getting shredded by the tank in the back. Goliath's starting to thin out, and this is a very impressive defense here. But, I mean, the Hydras just keep on getting slowly whittled away by the tanks in the back and just not able to break through. Look at that, even repairing the turret in front to make sure that it kind of helps out and annoys the AI a little bit. Man, every tank that shows up on this high ground is going to just continue to cement Terror's position on the map and make it impossible for True Touch to get out of his natural expansion.
Yep, it looks like I think True Touch will be able to break through, but behind this, I mean, Terror has a third, has upgrades on the way, he's even taking 12 o'clock.
Oh my gosh, this tank arrives just to die. Yeah, breaking through this cost True Touch so much. Every single one of his larvae and all of his minerals just being dedicated to making these Hydralisks. And as you said, you're going to be going against 4-base mech here in a second. Like, how do you even fight that? Like, if you're 4 mining base Terran who's on mech, who's been upgrading the entire time, it's like, you know, and you're all you have is Hydralisks. Don't have queens, we don't have, you know, defilers, we have no tools in the Zerg army, and no drones even.
Yeah, he really had to focus all his larvae into holding that push, but as a result, you can see he's barely saturated at his natural third. He only has drones on 1 gas because he's really trying to get all the minerals he can get. And now Terror is going to come here. He's going to see how far ahead he is. The fact that this base isn't even saturated yet.
On in the chat saying Terror could even send his SCVs and just win the game from here. And it does certainly feel like that. Over double the supply right now of the Zerg, and these, oh my gosh, these vultures getting in here doing even more drone damage to the already paltry number of drones. Oh man, this feels so bad. It's kind of funny though. You look at how good Hydralisks perform in these low tank numbers. They really are an impressive unit, but you know, as things go on, as the tank count starts climbing up, they're just going to start getting completely erased. Terra is super comfortable just relaxing on his like 3.5 base mining, going to be able to field whatever army he wants. We even have a base in the top left, it looks like, going down as well. So he's just eating up the whole map and just going to put together a big doom push, knowing that there's no way that in a couple of minutes True Touch is going to be able to defend.
Yep, and again, this army that True Touch is focusing on doesn't scale into the late game at all. He's basically stuck at making Hydralisks off 5 hatcheries and trying to take the best fight he can. But look at the map control, the map vision that Terra has. Basically running away with this game now. And even Look, I'm trying to look for options here for True Touch, but even if he goes into Queens, it's just too late.
Yeah.
And
by the time Queens have energy, he's just gonna be dead. Oh man, and continuing to be forced off of his own mineral lines, these vultures are just running around doing crazy damage. So many vultures here, in fact, that they can't even, they can overwhelm the Hydralisk numbers, and that's not something that we see very often. Hydra's doing their best. We have a tank drop into main at the same time. Dude, Terra's doing such a great job with just these small numbers of units continuing to disrupt True Touch and just cementing his position in the late game here. Oh my god, and the drones getting all stuck on top of each other, doing their 360s and stuff all over each other. Drones going in on this one vulture. Will they get the vulture? It doesn't look like it. Hydra's coming in to clean that up. But this is 3 units. And we killed the entire main base for True Touch of drones, as well as the reinforcing Hydros. There's still mines in the main that could potentially get some pickoffs here. Dropship doing their best, gets taken out. But man, when you consider how small a percentage of the army of Terror just completely wiped out the main base here for True Touch, it's like, where do you go? This is a hopeless situation if I ever seen one.
well, True Touch still fighting on. Whoa, looks like a mine even connects, but this is like 15 Hydralisk. Terra isn't even gonna need siege here.
Okay. And here comes all the tanks. No one wanting to commit to a fight there. Both players actually retreating. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't think True Touch realizes how far ahead Terra is. Maybe he suspects he's taking 12 now, but Terra took that a while ago and he already has top left. And yeah, look how just overrun. GG. Pretty easy win for Terra. It all seems to come back to that Spire snipe.
Yeah, just unfortunate. Like, all of the routes that True Touch could have gone immediately crossed off when that Spire was gone. Because you were right, he wasn't in a terrible economic position, but once he was forced to go Hydralisk, and you can just kind of contest that with early tanks, you know, you're kind of done at that point. That was kind of sad. I felt like True Touch definitely had a really good shot in that game too, but you know, things just not going too well for our Zerg champion there. In a really clean game played by Terra. That was super smart of him to focus that down with his army there, because he did lose a significant amount of units during that attack while his units were just attacking a building, but it ended up being a great move.
Yep, definitely could have backfired. I mean, because that attack was defended by True Touch. Those units were forfeited, but those tanks were critically able to get that Spire at the very last second. And combine that with the earlier attack where True Touch didn't get a single tank, and he threw away like mostly Ling and Hydra's pretty cheap units, but to not get a single tank is absolutely critical there.
Oh my god, and it looks like we have Zero highlighting the fact that our next map is going to be Sparkle. Is that correct? Am I seeing this right? Oh my god. This is such a ridiculous map. Oh man, G5 posting his meme in response in the chat. Okay, well, that is going to be certainly interesting. I don't even know how to cast Sparkle. Like, I don't know how to cast anything, really, let's be honest. But when but Sparkle, for real, though? What a ludicrous map. I feel like... I just don't know what to expect at all, dude. This is going to be crazy.
Yeah, this is exciting. Not often we get to see Sparkle, but this is Bonyth on Sparkle. I'm sure he has something planned. He's part of the small group of foreigners who really enjoy Sparkle. So he's definitely played on this map more than your average foreigner. The thing is, this is actually a crazy good Terran map in this matchup. You think if you're Protoss, you think about carriers, you think this is an island map. Yeah, go carriers. Carriers are absolutely great. But it's very hard for Protoss to get to that stage of the game. So we'll see. I mean, Terran has a lot of options here.
Yeah, I definitely think, though, experience on a map like this is it's worth its weight in gold, right? Like, if you have a game plan and a strategy and something that you're very comfortable with doing, like, I can't imagine Terror has played very much on this map at all, right? Like, this is not something that anyone was trying to get good at when it was in the map pool. I think most people just vetoed it and we're done with that. So seeing this as Terror, I mean, I'm sure he's familiar with the strategies, but do you think he's got like a well thought out, well timed out build order, or do you think? I mean, I feel like Bonyth, if he's played a significant amount of games on this, should be able to come out with a win, especially if he's the one who's picking this map.
I definitely feel like Terror is gonna try to go for some one base build. I don't really think he's too happy with playing a long game on Sparkle.
Do you think you're gonna see like a fast vulture drop, or we're gonna see Wraiths? What are you expecting here?
I think we're gonna see either 14 CC from Terror into Wraith, or maybe a quick drop.
Okay.
Because 14 CC on this map is pretty good against everything except the fastest Reaver possible. But looks like we're ready finally, and we're gonna start this game.
Alrighty, guys. Well, in the top center of the map, we do have our Terran champion, Terror.
And in the bottom right, we have Bonyth. So now Terror, well, this all depends. If he goes for Rax Gas into Quick Tech, we should expect drop. And he'll utilize, because you gotta remember, they don't actually know where they are. He'll utilize the barracks to give him some information to see if he can find Bonyth quickly to get that drop off to the base as quickly as possible. Bonyth, on the other hand, is going to have a little bit more difficult of a time finding Terror. If he goes for Reaver, one of the reasons why Reaver is a little bit risky to go one base Reaver is because you don't know where they are. So you kind of have to go scouting with your shuttle. And it takes a really long time to check the bases. So that's also an option. Another option is quick DT drop, which kind of beats a lot of Expo into Wraith plays that Terran like to do, because they just don't get the detection up. But that's like you're on a knife's edge, because if your shuttle gets picked off by the Wraiths, you just lose. But so far, nothing, no production made from Bonyth. There's no gateway, so this is probably just going to be an eco opener from him. And nope, gas from Terror, and that's the barracks somewhere near the edge of his base.
Nice. Looks like that Rax, as you said, very well positioned to immediately take off and go check out the map. Man, yeah, that's such a funny thing that you pointed out. It's like both Terran and Zerg have a way to almost immediately scout the beginning of the map. Wow, looks like Bonyth going for a second Nexus right away.
Yeah, now, critically, that second Nexus has a gas, but you have to kill the structure that's over it to mine it.
Mm-hmm.
You can construct the assimilator, but nothing can get into it. Another feature that's not going to be factored in on this map, this matchup, because there's no Zerg. Zergs can actually get 3 bases on their islands. Terran and Protoss can only get 2, and there are creeps all over the map, which allows Zergs to nidus them in the late game, but I'm not going to see that played into here. And there's a factory from Terror also near the edge, so probably going to utilize the factory as well. And this to me looks like it's going to be probably 2-port Wraith, because this factory can't make an add-on. Doesn't seem like it's going to be dropped.
So with the initial Nexus first, are we expecting like a carrier play at this point then, and he's just going to defend with gateway units for now? Because I mean, as you said, you know, he's not going to be getting out on the map for a very long time, right? Bonyth is essentially just kind of stuck on his 2 bases, as he won't have a shuttle for a very long time. We're just now getting our cyber core, so his tech is going to take a very long time to come out and allow him to start checking out the map at all. And versus Wraith, I mean, you know, not getting an, I mean, you have to have ops versus this, so he's going to have to defend with, I would assume, Dragoon, right?
Yeah, and well, there's a lot going on here, because Terror is going to go into Cloak Wraiths, which is good, but he's not expanding before doing this. Because the early meta game on this map, Terran actually went for a lot of Goliath drops. And Goliaths, you think, okay, Goliaths aren't that great against Dragoons. The real benefit is Goliaths, you can fit 4 in a dropship. You can only get 2 Dragoons in a shuttle. So that's why we saw Terrans open for that. But in that early meta on this map, Protoss was winning more than Terran. Then Terran went into Race. Initially, you'd think, yeah, Sarahs actually destroy Race, but you get cloaked. You force Protoss into making observers, and then Terran can also make Valkyries, and Valkyries have the same effect on Corsairs that Corsairs do against Wraith. So if you get that Valkyrie Wraith comp, it's very strong on this map. So Protoss, once Terran started going air instead of Goliath drop, Protoss really struggled on this map. And there's Terra going into the double port with Cloak. His Bonyth, he doesn't have a lot of units, but the thing is, he's gonna see this floating factory. This should be a huge tell.
Oh man, this is so freaky. So, I mean, the timing of this stuff is what's really scaring me, right? So we have +1 air weapons coming for the Corsairs, and so that is going to, you know, make them very strong, but like, Cloak is already on the way, and you have 2 starports right now producing Race. I feel like Cloak is going to be done way before there's any opportunity to get an Obs. What do you want to see a Forge to maybe detect this? Or, oh my god, we're going straight into Fleet Beacon. So how do you defend this at all?
Well, the thing is, Wraiths don't have that much air to ground damage. So even if Bonyth gets completely caught off guard here, he already has 2 Nexuses. So he can recover any economic damage pretty quickly. And Dragoons are extremely beefy, so killing them with Wraiths is not the best idea. He will pick off the Sares pretty quickly, so that's a lot of wasted minerals for Bonyth. But other than that, I feel like the Wraiths just have to do so much damage to equalize the game economically. Looks like they are getting spotted.
Wow,
Do we have a Forge anywhere?
Getting that initial vision. There it goes. Forge is down, so it's going to take a long time. And you are correct. It does take forever for a Wraith to kill anything on the ground here. How many does it take to cancel a cannon?
Well, looks like the Wraiths are getting significant probe damage here. I like how Bonyth isn't pulling. Pulling just really, it's not going to do anything. And I like how he's hiding the Corsairs, because the Corsairs are real, have a lot of value here. They also bank energy, which can't be overstated. So these early Corsairs are really important. But I feel like this is enough economic damage here from Terror. The Wraiths will soon run out of energy, so he has to be careful to pull these away. Like you see, that one is already on 0. This one's going to be on 0 as well.
Yeah, this is a large amount of damage. As you said, though, I mean, with the second Nexus and the fact that Terror's only now getting up his second CC, it's really not crazy. He didn't lose, you know, he didn't lose. I mean, his natural expansion is still all nice and healthy. So with these cannons coming up now, the Wraiths kind of don't do anything anymore. And he got started very quickly on his +1 air weapons.
And so this should be +2 already, right? Do the Corsairs already have +1? No, they don't.
Likely.
Did he cancel?
Oh man, because it's been going since like essentially the core started. Maybe he canceled, just needed a couple of additional minerals to get his forge started as fast as possible or something like that. But that seems a little strange. Man, if he had +2 right away, that would be excellent. And then the eventual transition to these carriers would be insane.
Yeah, it could possibly be Dragoon range, which fair enough. But Terra also got an armory, so he should be working on +1 for himself. And additionally, he's going to need an academy to snipe observers and potentially get Valkyries, because the Valkyries really even up the fight. One thing you got to remember, Sares are very good against Mutalisks, right? Mutalisks only take half damage from Sares. Wraiths take full damage, so they're doubly effective against Wraiths. Just think about that. Look at that.
This is just erased. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's insane. And Wraiths famously already extremely fragile units. Like, I feel like you could just look on accident in the wrong spot and your Wraiths just fly past a couple of Corsairs and they're just gone.
It looks he's going to try to get this dropship. This probably has an SCV. He's going to take a third gas. Very important on this base to start expanding outwards. Looks like we're going to have a fight here. And 4 Wraiths versus, or 6 Wraiths versus 4 Corsairs is gonna be close.
Oh, they're so
Looks like
stacked
Terra,
up.
because he stacked, is forced to retreat here, not even splitting them up, and those are all badly damaged. And there we have the first Valkyrie, and the Valkyrie is key. The Valkyrie will actually turn the tide here for the Terran. But this is starting to get a little bit scary for Terra, because all he has in his favor is the fact that Bonyth can actually attack with anything ground, because most of his army is Corsairs. There we go. We finally see some carriers, and oh, carriers kind of destroy everything Terra has right now. The thing is, the Wraiths are good. Oh, looks like we're having... It's a little bit risky from Bonyth. It looks like he got 1 Sarah only. Didn't lose too many Corsairs getting that 1 Wraith. You kind of want the Valkyries to kill the Wraiths so that your Wraiths... Valkyries to kill the Sarah so that your Wraiths can kill the carriers. And Terran wants to kill the Wraiths with the Corsairs, so because the Valkyries just don't do that much against carriers. Carriers have 4 base armor.
It's so funny the disparity between race air to ground and air to air. Their air to air damage is quite potent. So yeah, it is pretty weird, the whole rock paper scissors thing that goes on in the air battle here. But it's got to be really difficult to start dealing once the carrier numbers get up. Like the Corsairs are just so good, they don't really need to be super targeted, because the Terran air army is going to get kind of clumped up anyways. Volks really have to be focusing on the Corsairs, whereas just the Protoss army is just going to kind of obliterate everything here. Our carrier numbers are already getting up, and we've got an expansion in the middle of the map now. Things are looking pretty good for Bonyth here. What are the upgrades out? Looks like we're started on +2 air weapons now, and we've got our +1. Yep. Okay. Cool. Is it worth going for a second?
It definitely is
just to get your. Okay.
Yeah, because armor upgrade is extremely impactful against both Wraiths and Valkyries. Each armor upgrade reduces incoming rocket damage from the Valkyrie, and Wraiths attack twice, so it's affecting the actual damage twice. But here, Bonyth can't really attack, Terra can't either. Cannons are actually hilarious, because with cannon support, how do you actually engage this army? As Terra, you kind of pin back at your own base, and I wonder what he's actually going to do. Looks like we're seeing some factories being added, and if he's going to go into ground, he's going to need more armories, right? He's got to catch up or stay at least even in upgrades, and I didn't see any upgrades for the air army he had.
I gotta ask, man, do you think we're gonna see battle cruises with Yamato at all? I feel like that's definitely an okay answer to dealing with carriers super late game, but it's not something that you see in an average StarCraft game.
Yeah, but it's gonna take a while for him to get to that stage. He probably needs 1 more SCV on this gas. It looks pretty far, but he actually has a lot of gas backed up. He's getting Goliaths, but already 4 carriers, 5 carriers, so he's gonna need a lot more than just a couple of dropships of Goliaths to support his Valkyries. Again, Valkyries don't do that much damage against carriers. They will destroy the Corsairs, but if these Corsairs additionally have D-Web, then the Goliaths get even, their effect is nullified even harder.
Alrighty. I'm a little surprised why we only see a single core here when the whole plan was to go carriers to begin with. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Like, you just sacrifice like 1 or 2 of these cannons and you got your core up, and then just a tiny bit of gas. I mean, that seems, especially on Sparkle, right? Like kind of like a little bit of a flub up here.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see Bonyth is ready to attack, and this is where it starts getting scary for Terra, because can he actually fight carriers? These carriers are at +2. It's like we have some Wraiths, some Valkyries, some Goliaths, not a lot of anything. Yeah, well, the Valkyries do snipe some of these interceptors. Again, the shield is actually not that important. The real beef of the carrier is the base +4 plating. So yeah, definitely getting a second cyber. There it is, finally getting that second cybernetics core. He's probably even getting shield upgrades as well. Just everything to really make these carriers as cost efficient as possible. Double armory there for Terra. Bonyth going up to a 4th base. Terra's still only on 3. I feel like Terra could have taken the mid left bases and gotten 2 gases instead of 1. But this closer base is easier to defend, of course.
And it is particularly surprising that Valkyries deal. They just seem to not do that well versus interceptors, despite like at least in my thinking, right? I'm assuming that Valkyries, like when you have enough, the interceptors just got deleted, but it just doesn't seem to be the case. The interceptors run back to the carriers too fast and get repaired in time inside there.
Yep.
So
people don't realize interceptors, if they ever return to the carrier, and they do so automatically when they're triggered below a certain threshold, they automatically repair at no cost to the carrier or to the Protoss player. It's actually an insane mechanic. So that's why Valkyries actually don't do enough to kill the interceptors. They just return to the carrier, heal, and they come back out again. And it's like we're having a fight. It's like Terra not really focusing with those. Okay, finally he's gonna kill these Corsairs, and these Goliaths, they don't have any upgrades. Last I saw, there were 0-0. Carriers are getting bruised up though. Lots of carriers in the red, but again, none have gone down.
The air army, though, has essentially disappeared, it looks like, for Terra here. The turrets and the Goliaths are basically the last standing defenses here. And turrets, pathetic versus, unfortunately, this type of attack. And as you mentioned before, the mechanic where the interceptors get repaired, Goliaths do terrible, specifically with no upgrades because they don't do enough damage as well to interceptors. I believe they need +2 before they really become efficient at all versus interceptors. So, oh wow, big Goliath drop here. This is kind of major. No defenses whatsoever back at home. I think there's like 2 Dragoons in that and a Zealot or something on the ground there. And this is all the starports here. So really going to have to pull back and defend this. But Bonyth's carriers are so far away here. Gonna get his main Nexus taken out here. Kind of curious. This doesn't seem like to be like the most impactful building to snipe at this point. The minerals are all gone anyways. So kind of strange. I would have liked to see maybe the fleet beacon get taken out or one of the starports to continue to slow down kind of like this progression towards an impossible to defeat carrier army. But overall, you know, it's something. You do something with your Goliaths here, and at least they're doing something productive as opposed to just dying to interceptors that they can't kill.
Triple shield battery here. This will make it really easy for Bonyth to be aggressive, retreat, heal, and continue the attack. And it's a good play by Terra, but he really should have done it maybe like before he lost command center to force Bonyth into an awkward decision to continue with the attack or retreat. Carriers are less mobile than dropships, but once he killed the command center, all you have to do was go back, and even though he lost the Nexus, it's a base that was really no longer mining minerals, so not that impactful. Really feel like either cybernetics core, the fleet beacon would have been better targets. And yeah, once you get to this carrier number, if Terran doesn't have a comparable air army, there's really not much Terran can do with just Goliath, some Valkyrie support. But again, this is not the best composition unless they're really well upgraded.
Goliath drop once again getting escorted to just another satellite base, but as you said, we're kind of in that situation where it looks sort of like that game that we just had a little while ago where Sziky was stuck on Hydras versus a fully realized mech army. And while these drops are doing okay damage or whatever, and clearing out these probe lines, there's a point where you have to fight the army, right? Like you can no longer run around and skirt around the carriers. The carriers will just show up at your base and kill you. You know, these Goliath drops are doing what looks like to be good economic damage, but in the end, we're essentially making no headway with killing the main army, the Protoss here, and we're getting towards the point where Bonyth is going to feel comfortable like walking into the main here and just killing everything. And once again, this satellite third base is getting absolutely annihilated. These carriers doing such a ridiculous amount of damage, completely uncontestable in the air now, and we even have an arbiter. And so, I mean, what do you do at this point? Terra is just going to continue to get shut down. His natural expansion's like the only mining base that he's got going on right now. It looks like he's even long-range mining from the pseudo half a base that Zergs usually have going on there just to keep his economy going. Look at that, natural, even almost completely mined out here. And here we go. Bonyth now sending the carriers in, and we're killing the natural expansion, and there's nothing that can fight this army, and that's just kind of how it goes. I mean, what do you feel like Terra could have done? Oh my god. The air army gets even stasis. Oh man, and that is going to be GG.
Well, I saw at the end Terra had 2-1 for his air, but again, Valkyrie's not great against carriers. You either need Wraiths, and a lot of them, or battle cruisers with Yamato. But good game plan by Bonyth. He took a lot of economic damage, but didn't panic. I realized, okay, I have 2 Nexus, probably still only 1 command center, and just played it safe. And just got really strong upgrades. Never lost a single carrier.
Yeah, this game really looked to be a comfort factor game. Like, I don't want to say that like Terra played horrifically or whatever, but Bonyth had a very clear build order, and even though the race did some damage, it wasn't like anything that was fatal. He had a good plan to deal with it, and then he just kind of moved on to his end game, and it looked like Terra was I don't want to say confused, but I would say that especially once the Wraith had done its damage, his plan didn't seem to be super together, right? Like I feel like that's like Sparkle diff, you know what I mean? Like Bonyth really knew what he was doing that entire time, and Terra was, I felt like, improvising a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I probably played Sparkle more than both these players combined. Just when it came out, really hammered all the matchups on this map. Very fun map, in my opinion. And if I were in Terra's position, I need to double expand off that opening, because economically, you're at best even against a player going carries, and you don't want that. You want to be ahead in economy. And I would have never made the switch to Goliaths. Like, Goliaths are good on maps where carriers can't abuse terrain, and this is a map where all the terrain can be abused. So really don't like to switch into Goliaths. You can utilize them like he did for guerrilla tactics, like drops here and there, but I feel like if he had just double expanded, seeing what Bonyth was doing, Bonyth can't really attack either. He has to invest in what Corsairs, Observers, the Robo, and he's going fleet beacon. He's gonna have very few units, so you can definitely go Valkyrie Wraith, take a lot of bases, and then try to outmass with air superiority the Protoss player.
Yeah, Terra seemed to want to use those Goliaths kind of as like his like standing protection for his third base. You know, he dropped like 2 dropships along with the SCVs over there. It did seem kind of just like essentially a investment in nothing, because the Goliaths really didn't do anything other than allow him to do some you know, essentially irrelevant economic damage once the game was essentially already over. So strange, a bit of a strange game plan there. But we'll be heading to our next matchup here in a little bit. Looks like it's going to be on Sylphid.
Yeah, of course not.
All right, Sylphid, a fun map. I remember when this map kind of like hit and like everyone was playing it. We were playing it at CPL. People were playing it in all of the tournaments on all that. And we're going to be going to ZVP now. How do you feel about Sylphid? I think a lot of people really enjoy Sylphid as a Zerg player, since it's going to be a 3-player map, and you can kind of do that thing where you limit Protoss to their little corner of the base and take up, you know, the rest of it. And of course, Sziky is no slouch, one of the strongest Zergs in the foreign scene, going up against Bonyth here. I feel like that's got to be one of the main factors for why he chose this map.
I think this is a great Zerg map against Protoss. The bases Protoss has at the third sometimes aren't the best. They can take that green base, which is low mineral, low gas, or the mineral only, which is not ideal either. The high ground third base is pretty far away, and Zerg on the flip side can take that high ground third base and get a lot of Hydrolis and Lurkers. This is a really strong map for just fighting in the middle of the map with Hydro Lurker flanks. Very good map for Sziky style. Looks like we're ready to jump into this game.
Alrighty, guys, let's go ahead and get into it. Alrighty, guys. Well, in the 12 o'clock position, starting as the blue Zerg, we have Sziky.
Right, and Sziky, and in the bottom left we have Bonyth in the color red, and Szyky got the infamous 12 o'clock spawn for Zerg, which is absolutely fantastic. Although I'm looking at that, like the top rightmost drone, it's actually not boosted, because one of the things about this spawn in particular, and kind of like the Ascension 12 o'clock, is you get fantastic mining, more so than any of the other spawns on the map as Zerg. So you can get basically like a pull down, I don't know, 5 seconds faster, which is in the early game absolutely impactful.
Man, I love Bonyth's player card. I don't know if you heard me like kind of laughing under my breath, but every time I see it and it says like most OP unit, it just says Vulture all the way off of this card into the side of the thing. It's just ridiculous. All right, well, here we go. Looks like we have a pool first. I feel like I haven't seen anywhere near as much like the overpool play as we did in the past. I feel like people got really comfortable with going 11-10 as Zerg to deal with like kind of like the early Zealot stuff. But I mean, oh man, he's gonna see this like right away too. Sees the gateway instantly. Going to have all the information that he needs. Not that I don't think that Szyky really needed to scout this out right away. I'm sure his wing control is good enough to deal with Zealots, but this is so great. You know exactly how many Zerglings you need to produce to stop this push.
And Bonyth, still not really sure if it's a 9 or 12 or overpull. So he wants to dance around this drone, maybe delay this hatch. You can see you can actually get a 158 second hatch with overpull, where on some maps you don't get that until like 205. So just some of the reasons why 12 o'clock Sylphid is OP for Zerg.
Well, if there was a matchup that I would think that Bonyth could get taken out here, I feel like this has got to be it, right? I feel like Szyky versus Bonyth on this map, of course, you said with great spawns as well, going to be a really strong thing for Zerg to maybe dethrone our Protoss king here. So I'm really looking forward to maybe seeing Bonyth go down here. Not that I'm rooting against him; he's such a great guy, really, really awesome individual, very sweet person to like talk to and all that. But you know, I want to see some Zerg play. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty happy with at least the start here. Zergling's gonna go and put on pressure at the natural expansion so that the Zealots can't walk across the map and be annoying. And yeah, this is just such a great little start, getting the first scout, you know, in a great position. So that way the Zealots don't get to come across and do any kind of economic damage. Gonna be annoying here and poke at the gateway a little bit and maybe force one of the Zealots to come out here and try and make a hole in the wall or something like that. But this is awesome, man. As a Zerg player, you got to feel so good not having to deal with the Zealot at all.
Yeah, it's actually forcing Bonyth into Forge and non-stop Zealots before that Nexus. He even made an additional pylon so he could have the supply available. Bonyth hasn't made cannon yet. I think he's going to go gas cannon. Just playing safe. That one Zealot, a little bit exposed there, but quick reaction there from Bonyth. And yeah, just making 8 lings. Now, there's going to be a time when Zyky's going to have to make a lot of lings, probably when Bonyth decides to add that cannon and move out. But as far as it goes, he's being able to tech up here without issue, not facing a ton of pressure. Bonyth already has 4 Zealots. Might see a 5th soon, but he's actually prioritizing getting that tech up as well. And as Protoss, you can't really do everything. You can't do non-stop Zealot, force a move out, and tech up to match the Zerg's lair time. So you kind of have to pick. And Bonyth is going for that slightly faster tech. And then what's it called? The cannon at the natural. And of course, Szyky has all this information available.
So we should be seeing a Zealot move out here in just a little bit to kind of force those lings that you mentioned here and slow down kind of the Zerg's progress towards having unlimited money, essentially, in this matchup. But yeah, there you go. Lings coming out here now, and everything's looking super duper standard here. I haven't seen these guys play against each other in a long time. And if we don't have any surprises, who would you favor in this matchup right now?
I actually think this is really close, factoring in the map and the 2-player skill. Bonyth, I would say, is a slight favorite, but only ever so slightly. Like if this were, for example, a map where it was better for Protoss, I would say Bonyth would be, I don't know, maybe like 60-40. But because this is a slightly Zerg map, I think Bonyth might even be just the slightest of underdogs if this goes on for long enough. But definitely going to be a good match in the mid game. So we're building towards that. Neither player being overly aggressive. We're getting Sarah's with +1. Bonyth not really committing to a move out. He scouted the link number. Like that probe stayed alive for such a long time, gave him valuable information. I think this is actually going to be Mutalisk from Sziky.
Yeah, we do have the second gas coming on, and yeah, getting +1 on those Corsairs. I think going to be able to defend that after like a couple more Stairs come out. I saw that. I think there was a cannon in the natural expansion that could partially cover the cannon line, or the mineral line here. So going to have to park over that and kind of do a little bit of passive defense for just a little bit. But Saras do such a good job at defending versus Mutalisks, and we're going to see the Mutas like essentially immediately because of course their timing is going to be very nice. So I don't know. I don't expect too much to happen in this mid game here, and we're just going to progress towards the late game. It is funny that you just to hear the words Bonyth being an underdog is just such a rare occurrence. It's very weird for an uncomfortable statement to make, I think.
Bonyth going into the standard 3-gate follow-up, getting those cannons in number lines. He scouted everything he saw because Spore Hatch, but there's no Hydrogen, there's no Evolution Chamber, and this guy already has 2 gas. This is Muta 100%, and Bonyth prepared for that. And it's only going to be 5 Mutalists, not a huge investment, but this is enough to one-shot these probes. Some Scourge support. If these Sares ever overextend, you'll see the Scourge just there you go. You see Zerg kind of dives the Scourge on top of the Corsairs, utilizes the Mutalisk to get them close. It looks like not losing a single one there, so very good job here. It's a little bit risky because Zergs usually make 2 pairs of Scourge, so by getting some more damage done, and the Mutalisks have been deflected pretty effectively, I would say.
Man, that control with Sziky though, just to make sure he doesn't get moving shotted, pulling that one injured Mutalisk out really quickly to distract the Corsairs while the rest of the Mutas get out. Dude, high level Muta control it's like literal magic. I don't get how people are able to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, as he said, totally fully prepared to defend this. He's got cannons in both mineral lines. He's got his Corsair numbers coming up now. So the Mutalisks just kind of doing their thing. Looks like we have the Zealots getting ready to maybe come out here and do a little bit of damage. Put a little pressure on. But highly unlikely that's going to really get anything done. And looks like we have Lings going in as the Zealots come out here. This is a little crazy, but we do have 2 cannons in each one of the mineral lines. So maybe a couple of probes go down. But I highly doubt that very much happens here at all. This does delay the Zealot move out potentially a little bit. Oh, no. Looks like the Zealot's still going to make it out onto the map. Just a couple staying home to deal with the Zerglings. So just being a little annoying and distracting. Might get a cannon here. That could potentially open up the possibility for, some more Muta damage. But it looks like both players just really prepared for all of the options that everyone has right now. Hydra's coming out now. Both bases look to be pretty significantly well defended. Hydralisk behind a wall. In both circumstances, not going to allow these Zealots to do very much damage. And we can see that the economy for Sziky already popping off here as the Hydra numbers just looking super healthy.
So that cannon might actually come into play because this is 5 hatch from Sziky, Nat 6. So these Hydralisks are going to be a little bit faster. I saw Bonyth made a DT. I don't think Sziky will have Overlord speed, so that will at least keep him safe from a bust. I definitely feel like if you just look at the ground armies from both players, there's a lot more Hydralisks than there are Zealots.
Yeah, there's a good point. Zealot's not really going to be able to do anything on the other side of the map that would force these Mutalisks back here. The Muta count is really low, though, and 6 Corsairs is a whole bunch of Corsairs. I feel like there a decent number of the Scourge got sniped too. Oh, Bonyth finds the air army here. Looks like we got some Scourge connects, but not enough to make the difference in this fight here. And now the Metal is just kind of spreading out to be killed individually, I guess.
Yeah, that was some good hunting there by Bonyth. Really did a good job targeting the ones that were able to run away. Sziky backed into a corner there, and we actually do have Overlord speed. And this is the first couple Templars, so it's got to be a little bit nerve-wracking here for Bonyth. He needs to buy a little bit of time until they actually have Storm, but it looks like the Zealot number is... Well, it's not high enough, but
sniped.
The DT... After the Overlord gets killed, we'll be able to do damage here. But like I said, look, all that Zealots got cleaned up on it, going up to 7 gate. And he's going to need these additional cannons. Corsair is going to counter harass in the meantime. Looks like Sziky droned up a little bit. I think he's getting that 6 hatch. Probably wants to take another base any time now.
Yeah, this is so good for Sziky right now. The Dark Templar, you know, like 1 DT is nice when you're able to snipe that Overlord, but it doesn't do enough damage to like completely stop the army, right? So these Hydralisks, they kill all of the Zealots, and now you're kind of just, you got a few Zealots with as your Templar coming out, so no real opportunity to get across the map and continue to put on pressure. Sziky now in kind of free to do whatever he wants for quite a while, as the Templar count needs to build up energy before any kind of push can come across the map here. So I would assume we're going to see a lot of drones and a couple of additional macro hatches. Even have Skurs chasing down these Corsairs here. So Corsair's going to have to run all the way back home. And Zyky's, wow, and look at that, just those macro hatcheries, all those larvae being popped right now. I would assume we're going to see a whole bunch of drones in just a second. Ooh, even got a lot of Corsairs, actually. That's huge. Is there only 2 stairs left?
So from going down from 6 to 4, the one thing is Zyky's third gas is a little bit late, so the amount of lurkers he's going to have is going to be very limited. But if that third gas gets established, we're going to see a huge influx in the amount of lurkers. So we're at 4 now. I don't think he can afford too many more going Hydro Lurker, so he's desperately trying to get that third gas up.
If all the Sairs get sniped here, though, there's really not very many at all. Here goes another Sair. We do have the potential then for a group of mutants to come out eventually once the gas gets a little bit higher, and able to pick off all those High Templars can be very scary.
Yeah, this is starting to get scary for Bonyth, because Sziky pretty soon is going to be able to plop down, I don't know, 2 or 3 more hatcheries. He's going to hit his +2 on his Hydralisk, and yeah, he's already at 7 hatcheries. Should be going up to 9 any second now, and that third gas is going to be absolutely massive, because you can see Bonyth in these spawns, he actually has to take the mineral only. The high ground third is too close to Zerg, and the one that's at bottom left is too far away. And this green base that's actually near him is complete garbage because it's so low mineral and gas. So Zyky's kind of having a fantastic position economically. He just needs to get that third gas running.
Yeah, this is so scary. Bonyth just like getting out on the map, being active with his Corsairs, but occasionally running into like a random scourge, and just having the map awareness and ability to control those constantly is so impressive. But look at the army. Zyky's already got such a huge number of Hydralisks on the field, and even with just a couple of lurkers, that's really going to make the big difference, because there isn't a huge number of Zealots like there were, since all of those Zealots got destroyed in that initial attack there. So the lurkers, while valuable, not as necessary as there would be if there was, you know, like 12 more Zealots or something on the field here. Hydras, of course, trade really well versus Dragoons without like large numbers of Zealots getting on top of them. So I'm not really sure what the game plan is for Bonyth going into the late game here, because look at Zyky's just eating up the map now. Man, what a huge army. It just, you're even on supply with the Zerg right now as Protoss, and that is a little unfortunate.
I'm wondering why Sziky isn't being more aggressive. I think the fact that he took this third gas so late really hurt his lurker number and kind of forced him to float a lot of minerals, because he couldn't spend any making Hydralisk even because he was so low on gas. But he's actually transitioning into Hive with double evolution chamber, and I think this is good call as well. Probably wants a 5th base here, but he's in no rush. This high ground base near Sziky, very difficult for Bonyth to take, very risky. And looks like we have double robo very fast from Bonyth. This is usually, you don't see double robo until Protoss has 4 gas. He's doing it off just 2. But yeah, how is Bonyth actually going to engage? He's going to have basically the best storms ever. Yeah, you can see just an easy counter here. This base is going to get shut down before it even gets up. Sziky even going to expand to bottom right, make it really hard for Bonyth. Just like if Bonyth wants to commit to bottom right, it's really hard for him to attack. He's going to go into the lurker field. This is where the High Templars look at. 4 High Templars on the back, should be full energy.
I love the amount of activity that we see on the map. Both players denying expansions from each other. as their opponents trying to continue to take over the map here. We have a good number of Hydralisks reinforcing the lurker field, so likely not going to see that get pushed back anytime soon. Zealots still running around the map trying to deny that high ground base again, and unfortunately we did have the probe get sniped for the 4th base. But man, it's really hard and kind of rough to see these Dragoons just getting slowly whittled down here. Without the zealot count kind of like to really make them a big threat. Doing their best to try and whittle down the number of lurkers there are, but there's so many lurkers and such a nice arc. Even Storm's going to be really ineffective at dealing with that, because you still need to maintain some Storms to make sure you don't get swarmed by Hydralisks. Look at this gigantic arc that the Zerg is engaging in. Lurker line moves forward. Hydralisks coming from the right side, and even a couple on the left as well. And the Protoss army getting absolutely mauled here. Oh no. Look at the ridiculously low number of Dragoons at this point here. Hydra's just going to be able to walk forward and do their thing. Anytime the Zealots move forward, they just back up, back to the Lurker field. No threat from the Zealots whatsoever, and a tiny little bit of Protoss left over now. And Bonyth, because of the fact that he's got that mineral only, is really stuck on a too heavy of a Zealot composition. Not going to be able to really engage into any of these Lurker fields, and man, he is really stuck now.
Yeah, you might be able to get this base. Looks like Zyky's not in position, but really struggling to get a 4th base. I think if you haven't gotten it by now, you should just take the green base, even though it's pretty bad as a base. It's better than nothing. And what do we actually have in the show? It's gonna be High Templar drops or Zealots. It's gonna keep Zyky occupied, so it will allow Bonyth to kill this base pretty easily.
Ooh, Reaver. Ooh, decent shot there. Takes up a good number of drones, and this Reaver is just going to keep on flying around. And wow, yeah, a lot of economic damage potentially going to happen here. Bonyth is so well known for these Reavers. Looks like a dud. Oh, yep, dud. But even still, this is buying him so much time. Like, Bonyth's army being on just 2 gas is such a big problem for him. And look at that, we have the base now top left going down, and that, you know, being able to secure this while all this is going on is such a huge deal. Bonyth can finally secure his 3rd gas is going to really be a huge boon for his unit composition. Gonna stop being completely stuck on making so many Zealots, be able to produce more Reavers to fight with the army, getting more High Templars. All that is gonna make a huge deal in the mid game here. We do have the Lurker field now under assault, as Zerg is kind of pulled in all kinds of directions. We did see, I think, the shuttle getting sniped off eventually there by a pair of Scourge. But wow, big inroads being made here by Bonyth.
Yeah, he's progressing closer to the Zerg's rally, which is really what you want to get control over. But again, you can only go as far as the Storm takes you, and he's only down to 1 High Templar with Storm. You can see the Dragoon mass is getting eaten up. Some Zealots left over.
Zerg is so good in this situation, man.
Yeah, these are already cracklings, even a Defiler out already. And even though Protoss has 2-2, Zerg is not that far behind on upgrades, and Zyky just expanding all over the map. Bonyth finally takes this base, but it's not even mining. And another army from Bonyth gets cleaned up. Now, I've seen Bonyth in worse scenarios, and he's able to pull it back, usually with a lot of harassment, shuttle, Reaver speed, and he'll just hamper the Zerg economy while he expands. And he's in position for that. He already has shuttles and shuttle speed, but his gas is so low, he doesn't have any standing army basically.
Yeah, how did you feel about that attack? I feel like we were in a situation where it's kind of like 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, right? So he secures his gas finally. So getting a 3rd gas, big deal. But he throws away a huge army in the middle of the map. I don't think it was worth it. It's almost never worth it to throw away your big Dragoon Ball and your High Templars when you're just getting, you know, Lings and Hydras, because those are essentially free units. Like, I don't want to say they're free, but the Zerg, you know, in these situations where they have control over the map, able to do whatever they want, it's such a, they're so replaceable in these situations. I feel like it just, I don't know, losing their army is a pretty significant loss, I would say, for Bonyth here. But we do have Reavers, so that is going to be a big deal. It's going to allow him to start cracking these bases and put pressure a little bit more on these expansions. Looks like Reaver's already shelling away at the... Oh, man. Scourge coming in here. Are they going to snipe the shuttle, though? That's huge. And now these Reavers are totally kind of stuck on an island out here until we have another shuttle coming in. We even have the catch-up on the Reavers. They're going to be left at 1 HP. And, you know, you could sneeze on it with a Broodwing, and those are dead Reavers at this point.
Yeah, Bonyth actually utilizing the swarm in his favor against those Hydros, but you can see just touched by a couple links and they pop instantly. And I mean, this is an overwhelming number of units from Szyky. He already has 2-1, 2-2 should be almost done. Bonyth gonna be dried up on gas in his main and soon as natural, so he's really only on 1 gas. You can see his gas count really low.
I think Zarkons in the army going to be a significant boon versus this large ball of cracklings, but even then there's such low numbers of units for Bonyth at this point. He's making his, you know, he's making the best out of his his army's composition, right? Like the army choices are good here. He's got a lot of zealots, he's got Archons to deal with this huge transition to cracklings, but even then with such low down of units, you know, hard countering these units only goes so far when you don't have that many of them. We do have Scourge once again. Dude, the Scourge usage here by Szyky has been sick. Just chasing down these shuttles as they are shuttling the Reavers all around the map here. And Szyky really, while it looks like Bonyth's putting on a lot of pressure, he doesn't seem too scared, and that just goes to show how far the macro, or the difference between the macro of these two players is at this point in the game.
Trying to get a better angle to engage where maybe there aren't some lurkers, maybe farther from Zerg's reinforcements. I hope this is a second shuttle with a couple extra Reavers, because this is a lot of Zerg that's coming. Although it is being funneled in, Reaver Scarab's getting a lot of impactful shots here.
Good plague on the Reavers finally, and that's going to make dealing with these a lot better. I always think it's so funny when you see plague on Archons, though. It's like literally doing nothing to them. But man, the Reavers are the key units here in order to be able to deal with these Zerglings and Lurkers. And getting them plagued is unfortunately going to make it very difficult to continue cracking this base. Looks like one Reaver's going down under the swarm. Second one should be going down soon. There is one more shuttle in the back, though, that's kind of healthy, but being zoned off by these Scourge here. Oh my gosh, look at how efficient Bonyth's trades are here, though. Tiny army dealing a whole lot of damage. Hopefully that shuttle survives.
Stayed alive a lot longer than expected, but you can see Szyky killed another army, can definitely just expand again, and he already took bottom right as well. His main natural bottom might not, but Bonyth is already gone. Bonyth is finally taking that green base near him. This does have a gas that's pretty low, but every little bit of gas is what he needs right now.
Yeah, it is kind of funny, though, that Scourge that was chasing the shuttle actually gets to see the timing of that base very, very expediently. So that should clue Szyky in on what his game plan needs to be here. I would assume we see an army starting to mass get ready to go across the map here and maybe slow that down. Because Szyky does very likely know that that Bonyth is getting starved out here. As you said, he's basically on the 1 gas at this point. And Szyky's got just such a chokehold on the map, and this is really where that map choice comes into play. When you play 3-player maps as a Protoss versus a Zerg, it's got to feel so bad, because you know that every second that ticks by, you're running out of minerals on the map and gas on the map for you to be able to secure. And here we go, gigantic attack here. Lots of lurkers, lots of speedlings, and we do have the Dark Swarm here going to allow for a little bit of protection, but most of this is going to be Zealots, Archons, and Reavers anyway, so the Swarm not doing too much here. There's going to be enough, it looks like, to slowly shut down this base here as we keep reinforcing it. Man, only like having just Archon, Zealot, and Storm and all that at this point in such low numbers has got to be really feel terrible. Like the Zerg is just going to come in here constantly throwing units into this meat grinder until this base goes down. And you're not going to be able to mine them for a very long time. Oh man, Szyky really pushing in onto this high ground here, and now it looks like we're going to start losing the Nexus. Even plaguing on the Nexus to make sure that goes down as fast as possible, trying to deny as much mining as possible, not allow Bonyth to get a foot back into this game. Oh no. Reaver just AFK, getting all these units just getting obliterated. Bonyth on the other side of the map trying to get things done. He's been sending Dark Archons across the map, but those have been taken care of by static defense. We have some Hydralisks here defending from the Storm drop. Bonyth, as you said, trying to do his best to use his multitask and his excellent harassment skills to make something happen. But look at the map. I mean, it really tells the tale here. There's nowhere left for Protoss to expand at this point, and he's just going to get starved.
Yeah, and the heavy comp of Zealot is really what you don't want to see. You want to see Reavers, splash units. Zealots, they're no longer even two-shotting lings, or actually they still are, but only for a small window. This is going to be a plague, massive plague. That's so much damage with one unit. And look at this lurker field. No amount of Zealots are going to be able to clean that up. Just phenomenal play from Sziky. Really patient, really never rushed anything. And yeah, just expanding, cleans up an army, takes a new base, and never really overextending with an attack and just finding good bases. You can see he never even committed to the high ground base because he knows there's a ramp there, very hard to attack into that. One way Bonyth can't come back is just being extremely cost efficient, and Sziky is not letting him do that, just getting a lot of value plagues, a lot of defiler usage, and like these goons and zealots, this is the army comp Zerg wants to see at this stage of the game.
Yeah, it's actually a really good point that you made too, about how Ziky's been patient this whole game. His real first attack was this attack here at the high ground. Like, we really haven't seen any kind of move outs or anything like that. And it looks like he just, wow, that shuttle lives. That's surprising. But yeah, just playing to his strengths. I mean, like, he knew that this map was a good map for him. He did the whole, you know, split the map into to 2/3 and take your portion of that. And now Protoss is in a really rough spot. As you said, trying to be hyper efficient with an army that's essentially gateway units is really difficult. We have a couple of Reavers being added on here, but those are such expensive units, and Sziky has done a great job plaguing those, scourging the shuttles, and then taking out the plagued Reavers. It's just like, what can you do? And, you know, our Protoss players been doing what they can, but the army has never gotten to be anything threatening. It's always been this very small, like 70 supply army that we see moving out on the map.
Yep, and now I think Sziky is ready to pull the trigger, go for the kill. You can see this massive concave, massive flood of Zerg units just overrunning Bonyth's army yet again. These lurkers even cutting off reinforcements. This is just a fantastic position here, and I feel like Bonyth is running out of steam. Like, he's basically only mining on the one base now.
Alrighty, well, a whole bunch of zealots coming out here. Not exactly what you want. The Craftling's even trading really efficiently with them now.
Yeah, it looks like he's able to fight and defeat this army, but the army is never ending for Sziky. Like, when Zerg gets in this position, when they have this many bases, if Protoss doesn't have a big ball, there's very little chances for Protoss to be cost efficient.
Yeah, and it is so sad when you see the Zerg catch up on that Carapace upgrade, and now the Zealots will never be efficient versus them because there's nowhere to go with the ground attack upgrades here. And there it goes, man. The hatchery units just absolutely annihilating what's left, and Bonyth has to GG.
Now, this is where it gets interesting, because with Bonyth out, there is definitely a good chance for Terran and Zerg teams. Like, the Protoss ace has been eliminated, and there's still 2 Terrans and 2 Zergs left alive.
Alrighty. Yeah, as you said, Bonyth really the ace in the hole for the Protoss army. It's actually kind of interesting that they threw him out first. You know what I mean? I was kind of expecting Bonyth to come out last as kind of like a to clean up whatever gets left over by the other 2 players here. But you know, that was the match that we expected. If Bonyth was going to lose, that was it, right? Goes against one of the best Zergs in the world, and then goes against them on a very rough map. So, I mean, you know, not 100% unexpected at that point here.
Yep, fantastic game by Sziky, and another point for Zerg. You can see they finally get on the board today. This is definitely a day where they can win now. And now it's gonna be Terran's pick.
Looks like Dandy is going to be up next, I think. Very strong player as well. I'm glad to see Zerg make it on the board there, man. Seeing those 2 points up there was very sad for me. I had no idea how the races had done coming into it this morning. Then, you know, when Zero sent over the overlays, I was like, oh no, What happened? What happened? So good to see some numbers being put up here. And the Zerg lineup today, of course, is pretty strong too. So I, especially with Szyky out, Dandy versus Szyky gonna be a great match, but I think Szyky's going to definitely have a good chance at continuing to put up numbers here on the board. What would you expect our map choice is going to be as a Terran player going into this?
I feel like
Tau?
Danny has a couple good choices. I don't think Tau is that great. I think Tau's good for Terran in the early mid game, but late game I feel like it's a Zerg map. Like it's very hard for Terran to expand on that map, and there's a lot of paths for Zerg to move around. Drops, like late game drops, are very strong as well. So I'm not really sure. And that Peaks, that old map, that Peaks map, it's very old school. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I think I watched one game being casted on this by Rapid, I think, on YouTube or something. I can't remember, but I only recognize the name because of some random YouTube cast that I watched one time.
Well, Terran, the incoming team always has a small advantage because they get to pick the map and they already know the matchup ahead of time. Looks like we have
Oh wow,
Crossing Field, and this is a map I also haven't seen in a very long time.
I love this map.
Played
I think
at,
it's so cool.
Like the Koreans don't play this map anymore, so only in this event have we gotten to see it.
I think these maps with the I don't want to say unique because I mean there are like protected back bases in other maps, but like certainly this is not a normal thing that you see. So I love seeing this kind of stuff getting played out because I always am curious like how our players are going to approach this. But Crossing Field, I don't think is a crazy one. There was a point in time where a lot of people were playing this a while ago, so I'm sure that there's some artifact information in the back of our players' heads on how they want to play this out. But having that natural expansion that's protected, and then the third base being right out front as well, so you just have 3 contiguous bases, very easy to defend, is kind of interesting. There's also kind of like the weird wraparound routes outside of the third base as well. So lots of interesting map features on this map. How do you feel like this plays to? I mean, I think most people would say that if you're able to get a free natural and almost free third, that's pretty good for Terran.
I think for the most part, that's correct, but I actually think this map in particular is good for Zerg. I think this is a fantastic Zerg map.
What makes you say that? Is it the high grounds in the middle of the map that makes it like very strong for lurkers to kind of sit up there and defend, or?
Because, okay, looks like we're ready to jump in to this game. All right, in the mid left spawn, we have Dandy in the color red.
And in the bottom right hand portion of the map, we have Szyky in the blue.
And the reason why I think this is actually a Zerg map and not a Terran map is because I think Dandy picks this to go mech. And you're thinking, yeah, okay, 3 bases, 3 gas. Good mech map. But Zerg can get so many bases on this map, and drop is very viable in the mid to late game. Just lots of Mutalisk is very strong on this map. Don't even have to go Hydrolist. And then additionally, the back base is actually not a full base. It's reduced minerals. So it's not that great a base to take. And we actually have a very early scout from Sziky. This is interesting. I wonder what this is for. This is a anti command center first strategy with this drone. And it looks like Danny wants to go for command center first, so this is going to work out for Szyky. I wonder which base Danny actually wants to take, though, because the natural on the low ground outside your base is harder to defend, but it is better.
All right, Drone's going to get in here and see everything that he wants to know. Going to be very nice information. So we're going to see the hatch going down at the natural expansion for a Zerg player while we try and delay with the drone in the back base here. Looks like there's a scouting SCV going out there, but no move to potentially try and secure the front base. So it looks like we get the CC down right away. CC first for Terran is, pretty extremely ideal at this point. Interesting to see that we're just going to go for 2 hatch though immediately as Szyky throws down that pool and then gas.
Yeah, sometimes you see Zergs go 3 hatch to combat this, and because you get that extra base pretty easily, it could have definitely been an option. But look how annoying he's being with this drone. Terran doesn't have a barracks, so you can really harass, abuse the range of the drone against the SCVs. Of course, drones also regenerate, so this could be a prolonged harassment, and it's just going to be 2 hatch a layer.
Oh, and we even did the distractor trick here to keep that drone nice and healthy and continue to be annoying.
Yeah, and it's going to be mech most likely, and I don't think mech is that great of an option on this map. It's strong in the early game, but I feel like Zerg has a lot of freedom on this map. Like the 5-fact Goliath timing is not very good on this map.
Yeah, that's actually an excellent point that you point out too, that the reduced base in the back actually makes the 3 base a lot weaker. And as you can see from the map, the 4th base is a lot more difficult to secure. There's the southern one where it's like kind of its own little pocket, and you have to have a whole contingent of units down there to defend it. Or there's the one in the north portion of the map that is also similarly positioned. So you're right, like your 3 base timing where you've got like a lot of money and you can make big units and stuff like that doesn't last that long on this map.
Oh, I actually got an SCV with the drone. So this drone did a lot to delay that command center, get an SCV, scout everything, and now retreat. Very good value from this one drone. And I think because Dandy is probably going into mech here, I mean, it could still be starport and quick vessel. Like his options are extremely limited, because what are you gonna do? You're gonna go for timing. Look at the rust distance. You gotta realize how powerful Mutalist counter is on this map. It's very hard for a Terran to get across the map. So I feel like definitely gotta go for upgrade style Terran. And I do remember we saw in BSL Dandy pick this map against OctZerg, and OctZerg just didn't have the optimal response, and Danny was able to win on this map from a pretty large deficit. But I don't think Szyky will make those mistakes, so we'll see. Danny just gonna go into mech.
If your guys are curious about who OctZerg is, he's a professional Valorant player who occasionally comes to our scene and plays some Zerg.
And looks like Szyky gonna go ahead and take that second gas only after saturating the natural. 1 vulture just for safety. You do lose the SCV scout. You don't know if Zerg is gonna Ling flood you out of nowhere. And there's the armory from Dandy. Now it gets interesting. Zerg, how many mutalists do they make? Do they just make the 7 to one-shot SCVs? Do they commit? Do they get upgrades right away? Szyky has a lot of options here. And is the army complete? No, +1 right away from Dandy. And there's the Spire. There's not going to be a lot of Goliaths out.
Yeah, and this main is so open to harassment. The Mutas the main and natural, the Mutas just have like almost 360-degree control over the base here. There's so many places that you can come in and dive and find some damage to be dealt. Man, so annoying. The turret placement's going to have to be impeccable for to enable to defend versus the Mutalist right away. We do have the engineering bay finished up here, so should be seeing some defenses being put down now. With only 2 Goliaths on the field, though, there's still a lot of play for these Mutals to get some damage done before the army really starts getting sizable enough to deflect these.
Yeah, and Goliath range actually takes a really long time to research. So there's definitely an opportunity for Szyky to get some early harassment done. Looks like Danny actually got supply block here. He's making 2 depots. This is pretty impactful.
Yeah, the Goliath number really is going to be low, and as the Mutalists come up here, with only a couple Goliaths, you can really, burn these turrets down really fast here and start doing damage. Goliath's also not particularly well suited for getting back and forth between these two bases. They got to go up and down that ramp, and it's going to be really annoying here. Mutas come in already getting a good number of SCV kills. Looks like we lost one Mutalisk.
This is one Mutalisk, but got something like 4 SCVs, forced to pull. I feel like that was good value for the one Mutalisk, and we're switching into Hydralisk after these Mutalisks. So only the 7 Mutalisk, get some economic damage done, force a lot of anti-air from Terran. But like I said, 1-1 timings aren't that reliable on this map, so that's why we're seeing a starport from Dandy. He's just going to go into upgrade mech, and this is how he played against OctZerg, but it does allow Zerg a lot of freedom.
Love that we have this super ghost to observer. They're watching for us, being able to catch things like that vulture denying the expansion attempt here from the Zerg and catching that drone real quick. That type of stuff is obviously super important as well. Just having the vulture out on the map doing something is a big deal here. But yeah, things kind of stalling out a little bit for the moment. The Medusa's not really super safe when it comes to being able to dive into this base anymore. But getting down into the low ground to take the third base eventually, that seems. I mean, with the delay in your Goliath count, I feel like the Mutas can do a lot of denial here as far as the game plan for Dandy.
Yeah, and of course, Dandy playing in the dark, no academy. He probably clicked on those Mutas to see if they had +1. That's pretty impactful. He probably confirmed, so he's maybe suspecting a Hydralisk switch. And in the meantime, you can see he finally did get it, and he's getting that second armory, that science facility. So he's going to go heavily into those upgrades. Ooh, we actually did get +1, and then he's going to spot these Mutalisks. This is absolutely massive. Only 4 Goliaths here. Looks like he's going to move some units. Looks like Sziky not going to commit with the defense there.
It doesn't even get a volley off. It was a little surprising there. I wonder, what do you think? Is the choice to go Hydralisk here? Do you think that's a purely stylistic one, or is this like I don't like to use Mutalisks versus mech in these live situations type of thing?
Well, Mutalisk can work if you go Carapace and just focus on Carapace, get some heavy upgrades. They definitely can work. The problem is Terran on this map can just turtle on 2 and then 3 bases, go mech, and get vessels. You already saw the science facility. So the window for Mutalisk to be effective against mech is shut down completely once Terran gets those science vessels. So you can't always just go Mutalisk. So that's why he's making Hydralisk. He also has a Queen's Nest, but okay, there they are. I was wondering if he actually made Queens because I saw his gas was pretty low, even though he had 3 gas. Didn't see a lot of units. This is really good. And this is what I mean when you go for an upgrade style like this, you do give Zerg a lot of room. Like Sziky's gonna take a 4th, go Queens, and get a lot of Hydralisks with upgrades. So he's gonna try to take his 3rd now. He only has 1 tank, but there aren't that many Hydralisks. That's why we see the triple add-on just to grow his tank number slowly. And the good thing about Queens is Terran's investing in all these upgrades. The Broodling just ignores that.
Yeah, and that timing is so nice too. The tanks just got started here, so having 8 queens just hanging out, waiting for their energy. When the first push comes across and the tank count starts to get significantly threatening, there's gonna immediately be the ability to respond to that. But man, queens are such a great unit versus mech, because as you said, the upgrades don't matter. The fact that tanks are so valuable, having them get sniped off like that, Hydras perform extremely well versus Goliaths. They are a difficult unit to use, and there is some risk and reward there, as like with some map awareness you can do stuff like potentially EMP them and then completely ruin the Zerg's ability to fight the army.
And if you think about it, Queens kind of put it on a timer. Terran, it's kind of like carriers. Otherwise Terran would just sit back and never do anything. If Zerg gets enough Queens, the tanks just get picked off over the term of I don't know, 3 minutes. Every 3 minutes you have another volley of Queens coming in. So it's not like Terran can just sit back forever. Eventually they do have to move out and do something, and the Queens are about ready for their first volley, and this is where it starts getting potentially scary. We still have the Medusa alive, which is absolutely key to tank all the Goliath fire, so the queens can actually land their broodlings. And looks like Sziky might be setting up here for that attack.
Yeah, anytime you can trade energy, of course, for units, you get extreme value as you're essentially not giving anything and getting a whole lot back. Queen's now moving in, just like you said. Timing is going to be very coming up here very immediately, and there's just not enough Goliaths to really threaten the Muta Ball enough that where the Mutas are going to evaporate before they get it, the Queens are able to get in here. So yeah, things looks like this engagement is going to be great.
Yeah, it's all about the cloning, of course. This takes a lot of skill, a lot of precision with the queens to clone effectively against the tanks. He's even making Dandy making turrets to be more annoying. Sziky taking 12 o'clock.
What?
I think that was maybe a Zergling that ate mines.
Wow. But yeah, more than enough queens for every one of these tanks here. So as you said, as long as the cloning is good, this should be a pretty one-sided fight here. I don't know. Well, the Mutalists and the Hydralists engaging the Goliaths before the tanks can even get involved here. This is so good for Zerg. The Goliath count is going to get erased here, and using the queens at this point to deal with the tanks is super easy.
Yep, Danny gonna try to take a 4th base, but this is not looking that easy. We saw something was actually researching at the science facility is that it's got to be irradiated because he floated it. But EMP is also an option. The thing with EMP is very hard to land. Dandy actually covering his main base in case there's a drop, because that's also a potential Zerg tactic on this map. Some Hydras on the high ground gonna pick off maybe 2-3 tanks. Here come the queens.
The Hydra's giving that essential vision to make it easy to clone as well here. 2 tanks immediately get blown up.
Yeah, and the science vessel gets picked off critically, and I mean that looked to me like an EMP, not an irradiate.
Yeah, it looked like it was
just
definitely
kept
trying
chasing.
to chase down the queen ball. Oh, that is unfortunate. Yeah, looks like the vessel didn't have enough energy to pull anything off there. So unfortunately, just giving away that very nice, nice investment to the Zerg for free. One thing I actually really like to see is a parasite, and you just parasite tank like a tank, so you can get the cloning done from really far away, because it is really difficult. I think people who haven't tried it can't always tell, but it is really tough to get the cloning done correctly, so your queens don't go too far in and die and all that. But some more excellent broodling shots here on the high ground, deleting more and more tanks, and there aren't that many tanks left here.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, you know what's funny about? Okay, it's gonna be a drop.
Oh my!
You know, there are some turrets, but turrets alone don't do anything, and the army is way out of position here. Looks like Danny might get sense of this. Uses random Hydras here. The thing with I completely lost my train of thought here. Oh, the thing with Parasite is Parasite, like if you just think, it gives you all the scouting information, but if you Parasite a tank and Terran wants to kill that to deal with it, it's basically a 75 energy group.
Yeah.
And here we go, a big drop. Terran has units out of position, not a lot of tanks, so if he wants to defend his main, all of a sudden that opens up attack avenues at other areas.
Yeah, Vulture's completely out of position to help with this right now. They are going to potentially shut down this base here, but I don't think that is exactly what you want to be working on right now. Tons of Hydras getting the natural expansion, and as you said, the units are so far out of position that these Hydras going to potentially do a whole bunch of damage cleaning up this back base. Tanks really have a hard time getting from place to place, and not doing a great job of getting down and defending that natural expansion. Yeah, we do have a lot of these SCVs going down here.
Yeah,
things not looking too good.
Danny getting pulled apart. He tried to counter harass 12, but that got shut down. There's just not a lot of tanks here. Another Broodling actually goes off. More Broodlings. There's 5 tanks at this base, but literally no support. I feel like there's a lot of terrain Dandy has to cover, and Sziky just has an overwhelming mass here. I mean, upgrades are massive for Dandy as well. About to get 3-2.
Dropping now.
Another drop,
man.
and there's still queens alive. Like, the queens haven't died, and that's every 3 minutes. 8 tanks are going to be shut down.
Look at these Broodlings trying their best to kill this tank. The tank's plating, making them do like no damage.
I think Bruling actually has what, 4 attack? It's not even 5. It's 4 attacks. So if Terran mech is actually fully upgraded, they only do half damage. Well, and here we go. That's another 5 tanks, but we have some queens set up there. Looks like a few more.
I love the big turret line in front to make it difficult for these queens to come in here and just get the Brugans. But Hydralisk is pretty good against turrets, as you can see. Man, dude, Sziky's done such a great job keeping the tank count low. The more that he's able to snipe this off, the better it is for him, because the tanks are really what allows you to defend versus the Hydralisk. And just opening up all these avenues of attack by keeping the tanks too low to be able to defend everywhere at once has just been wonderful.
And you can see when the tank numbers aren't that high, Hydralisk can do really good job against them because they don't have to worry about the splash. And I mean, Sziky, 5 base economy, very strong. Upgrades are great. He also has queens.
Oh,
even gets an infest. I mean, it doesn't really matter. He's making an infested Terran. I mean, he could potentially drop infested Terran on the mech.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, the Goliath count is like almost non-existent at this point. You're actually right. Just dropping an infested Terran could kill like 5 tanks at once. Their damage is so hilarious. Like, they're like, how much do you want to make these infested Terrans do? And they're like, oh, yeah, like 500 damage. Just whatever.
Yeah, they
doesn't matter.
Number.
I actually think it's funny though. I feel like a command center infest is like almost underutilized. Not that it's like a big deal or whatever, but it does essentially do 50% of a CC's health. You know what I mean? Like, you can really quote unquote kill a command center very quickly with a small number of units if you just infest it. I love the fact that he's making. Oh, there it is! Come on! Oh, it was so close.
Just barely died. But again, more queens, more Brulings. Even if the command center gets taken out, Dandy is actually already pretty low on minerals. That's a parasite. I mean, just being as annoying as possible.
Oh, he parasites the...
Like, Zerg is not going to invest in a medic here to get restoration.
So that's just an enemy spy now at this point. Ooh, big Muta transition. I love this. No Goliaths on the map at all. No turrets set up over here. Okay, 2 Goliaths on the map. Okay, whatever, dude. But yeah, wow, this is gonna be devastating.
And critically, while he was going Hydra Queen, he was actually still investing in air upgrades. So these Mutas are actually pretty potent. They already have fire base and +1 attack. They actually do a really good job. Like, they completely just ignore the turret fire, snipe the vessels, and now there's no anti-air. And even if he starts producing Goliaths out of his 7 factories, there's no way for him to recover this area. This is a 4th base getting killed again. And you can see Zyky's almost maxed now. Just phenomenal play against mech, just showing how it's done.
Yeah, what a clinic. Very, very well played. And, you know, that was Dandy's map choice. So that's basically, I mean, that's the pinnacle of Danny's chance against Sziky. You know, like, nothing could have been more in his favor going into this, and Sziky still just absolutely demolished Dandy in such a clean game. There was not a point in that game that felt like that Dandy was ahead. So wow, really, really well done.
Yeah, phenomenal play by Sziky. Just never really let Dandy get comfortable. I mean, Dandy was going for upgrades, got vessels, got a 3rd base, but after that, he just couldn't do anything. He never even moved out of the side of his map. Like, all he did was send 12 vultures to 12, traded with some hydras. That's all he could really do.
And as you can see, Avi-Love being Avi-Love in the Discord channels. I love it, man. Oh, man. Dude, this is the best part about the forward-seeing. I feel like the personalities are the real reason why I'll always value foreign StarCraft over Koreans. I don't know, but I know a lot of people feel the opposite, where they're like big Korean StarCraft fans, and that's really all they care about. This is the exact opposite, dude. I love the drama.
Well, and Avi a little bit bummed he couldn't get Sparkle Bonyth sniped that map, but still some good Zerg maps left. Then now it's gonna be a Protoss pick, and I mean, it's gonna be tough. You're going up against Sziky.
Ooh, interesting. So it looks like G5 is gonna pick Peaks of Beakdu. So yeah, old school player going to old school map. Excited. I wonder how much experience that he's got on it. G5 has been, I know from conversations with him, not super happy with his current like level, but we'll have to see how the map choice goes into that. G5 also a pretty unconventional player. I would say one of those players that puts a whole lot of thought into what he's doing in any game specifically. And on a map that most players are not super comfortable with, I have a feeling that he may be able to make something happen that your average Protoss player is not going to think of. Look at the topography of this map, dude. What the heck is this?
Now, once you see the natural, that's where it really comes into play. It's a pretty wide open natural. So as Protoss going up against a Zerg, this is not usually the pick if you're gonna play a standard game.
Yeah, very strange. Going to be difficult to, as you said, defend the natural expansion because of the fact that it's so wide open. Opens you to Hydra stuff. You can even see maybe some early wing stuff here as well. I don't think I've, other than maybe one game that I mentioned on YouTube or something like that, I don't know if I've ever seen this map being played. And man, it is super weird. I mean, like, we have all these high grounds all over the map as well. That plays, of course, really, really well into the hands of lurkers and things like that. Man, two-player map, very strange looking, going to be very interesting. Traditionally considered a matchup that's a bit Zerg favored. I know that G5 hates this matchup particularly, and he's going against a literal titan when we're talking about the Zergs in the foreign scene here. So we'll see how what his chances are going to be like.
Yeah, I'm mostly interested in how he decides to play the early game because this is a rough map.
Alright, guys, well, we're going to head right on into the map and get that question answered right now. Alrighty, well, spawning in the 12 o'clock position as the blue Zerg, we have Szyky.
And in the bottom spawn, we have G5.
Alrighty, man. Well, G5, notoriously big Zerg hater, hates Zerg, constantly tells me, Doc Holiday, all you have to do to beat Protoss is press the H button. So not a fan of the Hydralist unit at all. And with such a wide open natural expansion, very vulnerable to the kind of 3-hatch shenanigans.
Oh, it's like first pylon in the main. So already not going to expand. And if you just look at the natural, Doc, just look at this natural.
It's so ridiculous. Or you can't put a cannon, you can't make a wall, like. But you know, there's one thing that can be said for G5 is that he thinks different, man. He sees a map that's terrible for Protoss and goes, that is my map. That's the one I'm gonna pick versus Szyky. You know, and he's not a player who's unfamiliar with playing one base. So this is gonna be pretty weird. It's not something you see very often. But I mean, one base tech is still a thing. And it might just be that Szyky hasn't played against this in a while. It could throw him off.
Is this gonna be gas or double gateway now? Double gateway. Yeah, double gateway here. And it's gonna be against Overpull. Now, if this was hatch first, this would already, I would say, be fantastic for Zerg. But because it's Overpull, I feel like there's a good chance that something can be done with these zealots. You can be very annoying with the first 3 zealots. Just if you can micro them well against the Lings, you can get a lot of value. Zerg is limited on larva in comparison to a 12 hatch. Well, definitely something to be done. And he's delayed his hatchery quite significantly here.
Yeah, very nice pro micro being super duper annoying. And of course, delaying the hatchery is a big deal because getting your second hatchery up and having the additional larva from that is one of the big factors in being able to stabilize versus this early type of pressure. Now the Overlord gonna make it in and of course see the first Zealot moving out here. So Sziky is immediately going to know what he's up against. And he does have a full 6 Zerglings on the way. Deal with this. Of course, his initial Zealot going to have a hard time dealing with that many Zerglings. But look at that. G5 finds a nice little place to tuck his Zealot in here to give him a nice advantageous fight. So Sziky running around to try and surround that initial Zergling. Oh, or not. Just chilling for now. But, delaying the second hatchery's production here is really going to allow G5 Zealots to come across and do a bunch of damage here, potentially. And in the meantime, we do have the expansion attempt down on the low ground.
Yep, and on the flip side, we actually have the inverse happening. Like, how are these Zealots going to move across this choke?
It's so weird.
If the Lings are in position. And now I'm wondering what Ziggy's going to actually do. How many hatches he's going to make before lair? And here we go. Can he actually move out? Looks like the one Zealot has a very difficult time. But if he can reposition the Zealot, maybe... Nope, still very difficult.
What a weird map, dude. But I mean, honestly, I kind of like the opener here. I mean, G5 found a way to kind of secure his natural expansion, maybe a bit unconventional, and of course his tech is going to be delayed and all that. But you do have to kind of hedge your bets a little bit as a Zerg here as well. We did see 6 Lings being created. I don't think there were any more back at home, so I would say that this opener certainly favors the Protoss, or I'm sorry, the Zerg a bit here, as there was a very little commitment to dealing with this type of pressure here. And now we have the Lings kind of running around the other side of the map here, trying to get vision on what's going on at the natural expansion, so that way Sziky has a little bit more information than he did going forward. Overlord not going to be at threat for a very long time, though, as the Sares have been delayed significantly by the 2 gate opener. We do have a Forge coming down on the low ground here to try and attempt a pseudo wall here at the natural expansion, and we have a couple of Zealots being surrounded here on this ramp as well. So unfortunately, those getting traded for very efficiently.
And I like that he's delayed his Forge quite significantly. On some maps, you can actually just never make that Forge until after your core, just catch up on tech that way. But because the natural is so wide open here, I really feel like that's definitely just not an option. You gotta make at least some semblance of a wall.
Yeah, G5 not a particularly risk-averse player. As you can see, Cannon just now going down. And, I mean, there was always the potential for just a bazillion Lings to come across the map here. But being familiar, I think, with some form of strategy on here, G5 has got, I think, the best start that he could have gotten on this map. It just still boggles the mind that this was his choice. But we do have a drone being tricked through the minerals, it looks like, to go ahead and take a back expansion here, as well as a third going down, I think, in the front. Is that an expansion? Yep. So lots of hatcheries potentially being set up here, and it looks like Sziky looking for a nice big late game composition.
A little bit of a dance here with the Zealots. No second glass quite yet. Just gonna be 3 hatch Hydra or 4 hatch Hydra here from Sziky. No link speed should tell G5 something though, right? They should suspect something
this is
up.
Cute. The Zealot blocking off the choke so that the Zerglings can't get back home and help defend these 2 Zealots here. So Zealot's going to get in the natural expansion. 2 Hydralisks are not going to be able to shut this down for quite a long time, as Hydras in small numbers take forever to deal with Zealots. Now he sees the Hydra starting to come out here a little bit more in force, but delaying a good amount of mining. Gets 1 drone, 2 drones. Really great little trade here for a couple of Zealots that want to come across the map. Of course, they're now out on the map harassing the Overlords as per the standard as well, and it looks like we have got our Citadel down as well. This is the fact that there's these weird little one space chokes on the map. I feel like makes it pretty easy for Zerg to defend any kind of speed Zealot shenanigans. I'm wondering what the choice is going to be here, because I have to say that I feel like when you're going to pick a weird map like this, you should have a game plan for it, right? And I was kind of thinking it's going to be Zealot Corsair, but there's so many places that the Hydras can just kind of make the Zealots pile up and trade against them super efficiently. I'm not sure if that's going to work out really well.
Well, what's interesting is G5 going into a lot of Zealots here. He got one Overlord, so it's really slowing down Sziky's economy here. You can see he hasn't saturated his third, and we're going to follow this up with a lot of Zealots pretty quickly, and I think Szyky is in a moment where he wants to drone. It's like some Hydras pop out, and I wonder, does G5 actually have +1, or are these unupgraded Zealots?
Nope,
Looks like
unupgraded.
no
We don't have it
+1.
cranking either.
Yeah,
So this is going to have to hit soon. Otherwise, G5 is going to get really hard outscaled. Oh my gosh, these Hydras getting sandwiched here, though. Getting any of these units right now is really big deal because, as you said, you know, because of the fact that he got that Overlord snipe, everything is a little bit behind. So forcing more Hydralists right away is going to, again, delay the saturation of that third and give him a big tempo play here. If things go well. Looks like Szyky trying to create some stack defense at the top of the third base, but look at this, very little in the way of defenses here at the natural expansion, and the Zealot's going to be able to run in here with their Zealot speed and do a ton of damage.
Really feel like he should go for the third, though. There are 3 hatches here. There's only 1 at the third. He should know there are less units at that base. He's kind of caught in between. He might be able to sandwich these Hydras, but as you can see, there's nothing at the third.
Oh my gosh, the Sunken isn't even finished here, and bazillion Zealots actually up here at the third base right now. Some Zealots chasing down the Hydras. I would hope that these Zealots get in the fight soon and erase that natural expansion and kill the third like this. The Zerg is at such a ridiculously bad disadvantage here. G5 might have found himself a winning strategy.
This is a lot of Zealots, and I don't think just killing the third is going to be where G5 stops. I feel like he could just overwhelm Szyky right now.
Oh my gosh. Szyky getting more, has gotten more of his Overlords sniped too. He's only got 7 free supply right now, and you don't want to be building Overlords in the middle of a gigantic Zealot attack here. We have a Spire coming down, and Sunken's getting placed at the natural expansion, but even finding the random drone in the back here, not going to allow this expansion to go up either. Szyky might be stuck on 2 bases.
You know, critically, he is going into Spire, and I think it's only 1 Sare, and I don't see G5 making any more Sares really. There's just no anti-air here whatsoever. He has some High Templars, but it's about to be 9 Mutalisks.
Look at these sad Hydralists. They're like, oh, the minerals there. They're just stuck back there now. So that's a significant portion of the Hydras that are available on the map right now. That's 4 Hydras that can't defend this natural expansion. And G5 in the middle, in the meantime, gonna have a third up before the Zerg? What is going on here?
Yeah, these Mutalisks are gonna have to get a lot of damage done.
Alrighty. The Zealots once again shutting down an expansion attempt. Oh.
I saw Stargate blinking,
Oh
so we are finally seeing some anti-air in the form of Corsairs, but not G5. This is not how you want to do it. You don't want to throw away all your Corsairs, all your Zealots, I should say, into 3 Sunkens and Hydras on a ramp. Like, even if you get some kills here, this is throwing away a large portion of your map control just for basically nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like he was maybe trying to delay for the Zealots in the top left, maybe to snipe that hatchery out or something, because he really does want to keep Zerg on his 2 base economy as long as possible. But as you said, throwing them away there in the natural expansion was kind of a questionable move, as he really got nothing for it. You know, you could have essentially had the same thing happen with half of those Zealots and use the rest of them to go ahead and delay this third once again. Big Zealot attack coming down here to the third base once again. This is still a big move, even though we are continuing to throw away those units. Just shutting down this hatchery would be very, very big here. The meter count, though, looks like it's going to be enough to stop this. And now that Szyky's got a decent Hydra army as well, top left is no longer going to be able to be delayed. And in the meantime, G5 transitioning to like Dragoon Corsair.
Look at that forge, it's not spinning. Protoss doesn't have any upgrades. Very big misstep there for G5, and I feel like the Hydras at least should have +1. Yeah, so Zerg is actually ahead on upgrades.
and not what you want to see. And the Muta's actually finding the probe transition here, and only with one cannon. That cannon should be able to be focused down, and these two building cannons should be able to be stopped as well here. The Corsairs need to get over here immediately. This is a big emergency. G5 did buy himself a nice little advantage in this game, but I don't know how much longer that this is going to last. He's getting his third, completely terrorized by essentially a full group of Mutalisks here. But the arriving Corsair plus the couple of Dragoons going to at least stop the attack here. But all of a sudden, the game flips on his head. As you said, getting the attack upgrades on the Zealot is big, contributes to every one of the matchups, like really, I would say essentially, does make Zerglings a lot less useful. We do have, it looks like, an Archon as well to deal with these Mutalisks, but Sziky going to be able to power drone now that he has 4 bases here. And G5, like, how do you defend this bottom right base without like 50 cannons?
Yeah, and because he threw away all those units, and now he's making all these cannons, he has a very small army, and he has a very low gateway count. Even investing into an Archon, when what he's really going to need is high Templars to deal with these Hydralisks that are coming.
Yeah, and as you said, Hydras, they were coming, and so now they are up that ramp here. The very paltry number of Dragoons has already been shut down. Now cannons on the high ground with probes in the way, and maybe this Archon could be helpful as well. I don't know, might have been enough to defend this, but the Archon shows up a little bit late, and now we have Hydras and Mutas being defending against this. Unfortunate little bit of a wisp storm there as well, something that really needed to be very precise. But G5 once again doing G5 things, thinking as hard as it can, then making some good moves. I really like the choice to go for 2 Dark Templar. He's going to shut off that top left base. As you see, there are no Overlords there now. Could be Overlords in those eggs, but I highly doubt it. Yep, look at drones now, because you do have to saturate your bases, unfortunately, or the word worth nothing. So Dark Templar are going to be great. Going to try to abuse this back base path. There is an Overlord in the main, so I don't know how much that Dark Templar is going to do, but I don't, you know, losing this third base is a huge loss of momentum. Defending the natural expansion from these big Hydra attacks is going to be a nightmare now that Sziky's got some semblance of an economy. We have the Speed Overlord now coming top left, so that Dark Templar not going to be able to snipe that. Didn't even snipe off the 2 drones that were created there as well, so almost nothing lost in the top left-hand corner, and G5 looks to be very close to out of options at this point.
Well, that DT at top left got several drones. One that tried to go into main. Very good idea there for G5. But Sziky on the defense, on top of his defense, I should say. And now, I mean, what can G5 actually do? It's 4 base versus 2. He's about to be mined out of his main. He doesn't actually have any upgrades still.
Finally see that forge spinning here. But that is unfortunate. I mean, I don't know if we have Carapace yet, but you know, being on even upgrades with Zealots makes these Zealots essentially worthless units, right? If they're trading evenly with Zerglings, and you no longer have anything to deal with Zerglings outside of this Archon here. Muta's coming in here being a nuisance, snipes off a high Templar. Archon not even firing, very unfortunate. We even have Hydras attacking the main from the back. Oh my gosh, what a nightmare.
Yeah, and just, I mean, once he stabilized, you can see Sziky just running away with it, even on a map where I guess you feel a little bit uncomfortable as there because your third is so far away. But did a really good job to recover with the Mutalisk, and I mean, G5 definitely had his chances earlier in the game to push through his advantage, but just got picked apart by the Mutalisk.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate, although I don't think anyone's crazy surprised that this is how the game is going. I think G5 really did have a great start to this game, and it was pretty impressive, but Sziky is just such a great Zerg player. He's absolutely the top of the top when it comes to skill in the foreigner scene, and this is a pretty tough matchup for Protoss just in general. So the fact that you know, we had any inroads made at all, pretty impressive to begin with. But as you said, there's essentially what do you do as a Protoss in this situation? Like, what base can you take after this? You want to go to bottom right? That already got obliterated by a fairly small number of units. You can't expand there, and every other base is already Zerg's base. So what do you do?
Yeah, not a lot of bases on this map. That's a it's not gonna come into play this game, but just realized it's very limited amount of bases.
Yeah.
Well, G5 not doing a terrible job of staying close in supply, but once lurkers are getting set up, this map becomes even more obnoxious for Protoss against Zerg.
Oh man, that one zealot trying his best to defend the main base here. Even surprised, honestly, that we're able to make it even just up this ramp with all those lurkers up top there. But now that the army has spent all of its HP trying to bust up the ramp, just big old Hydra army. What is going on? How did those Hydras not bust this ramp already? But G5 having to defend on like 3 different fronts, just so rough. High Templar running from his life from the entire gang. And there we are, like, this is so funny. I can't, there's 2 ramps that you have to defend your main from. Zealots, or sorry, lurkers now just down at the bottom of that ramp. No obs in sight, so no way of really taking care of that outside of these storms here. And G5 under assault everywhere. I love the fact that there's still Dark Templar on the map though. DT's trying to get stuff done here. Look at this, this guy's gonna be out here. Overlord's probably not gonna notice this because we're just killing Zerglings in one shot. So not getting any kind of alerts there.
Yeah, just getting value out of very small amounts of units is G5 here. But again, the minerals, just running out of them. You can see Sziky has every other base. And the Lings are even on upgrades. They're probably going to have crack soon. Actually, they don't even have speed. So they might have gotten adrenaline upgrade before even getting the speed. And yeah, finally breaking through that third base. DT trying to harass, but there's detection at that base. Nexus could probably get target down here.
Yeah, this super essential third here going to get taken out. All of the probes going down here, so that's so expensive when you're already running out on minerals. It's not like replacing those doesn't mean anything. And, you know, I would say very respectable attempt here, but with this third getting shut down, there's no way back in this game. Luckily, though, we do have 3 observers watching this really hard, so G5 really knows what's coming.
Well, G5 with the GG, and Sziky takes that, but he definitely was sweating at a couple points in this game.
Yeah, really awesome ideas. G5 played, I think, really respectably, and you know, made me a believer there for a minute. Especially, I mean, like, we were laughing when you look at the natural expansion. It's just like, what even is this? Like, it's like playing on like a. It's definitely an old map. It's like looking at Bloodbath. You know what I mean? Like, what the heck is that? None of the modern map making conventions are there. No chokes, no nothing. Like, super weird map, but you know, he made it look like a challenge, and you know, that's pretty respectable on such a ridiculous map.
Yeah, I feel like his overall idea and game plan was strong, but he really needed to fine-tune a couple things, like get +1, scout with his lone Corsair, check the spire timing, because all he needed was to have anti-air for those 9 mules, because he had already killed the third. But instead, he just kept making zealots, had something like 25 zealots, but then threw them away, and from there, Sziky was able to recover wonderfully.
All right, well, yeah, Sziky putting out some great plays so far, and really carrying our Zerg team so far today. And now, looks like our next player is going to be Ultra. There was a question on whether Ultra was going to be able to make it, so Nyokin may have had to step in, but you know, luckily for Nyokin, he gets to be a little lazy today, as Ultra is going to be showing up. He's got to pick his map here. But ZVT, Sziky going to be, I would think, comfortable on the maps that are left here. No, I don't think there are any more ridiculous maps. Let me look at the map list. Yeah, everything weird has already been selected, which is kind of funny. You know what I mean? Like, we had Sparkle selected, we had Peaks of Beakdu selected. As far as maps being weird, I mean, Crossing Field is, I would say, the last one on the list when it comes to weirdness, but everything else is pretty normal. Tau-Cross is a little bit older of a map, but nothing on it that's like unbelievable or a strange map feature that you need to really adapt to. So we're going to see a pretty, I would say, standard map pick here at this point. And yeah, Sziky and Ultra going to be a really nice match.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Ultra is a player who likes to play macro Szyky also, so should be a long match here where they're fighting at it.
I do love the long matches. But you know, things gonna be real standard here, as you can see. Heading on over to one of the old classics. Uh, who do you think is favored in this? I feel like when we talk about god level players, you know, you're talking about players like Bonyth and DeWalt and Sziky and True Touch up there. I don't know if Ultra's quite at that same level, or if he's just like one tier below uh, what I consider to be like the absolute pinnacle. I certainly think that he's got a fighting chance, but if I had to go with my gut, I would say that I feel like Szyky's a little bit favored here. What do you think?
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. And although they have faced off several times, if I remember correctly, Ultra puts up a fighting chance, but he doesn't pull it all the way through, and then Szyky kind of can run away with it in the mid to late game. But definitely a chance in a best of one, though.
Yeah, definitely. ZVT is also such a technical matchup. Like everything from the start of the game all the way till once you're on Hive, like it's such a on a knife's edge when it comes to both of players' abilities to defend and compete with each other in the middle of the map. You know, if Ultra's able to pull something off in the early game that delays, you know, anything, the game could completely and drastically flip on its head. Zerg's defense of Bio in the mid game with either Mutalisks or Lurkers has to be perfectly on time, and then the Hive timing needs to be perfectly on time as well. And same to be said about vessels and all that. Things can always go a little crazy, and with a best of one, you don't have the room to make any mistakes. So if either of these players get, you know, thrown off of their game for a little bit here, we could see a pretty drastic change in what we would have expected, you know, the matchup to look like. But again, I just feel like Szyky is a little bit on a bit of a higher level here, so I'm expecting him to take this. And with that, you know, that would be the last Terran in today.
Yep, and looks like we're ready to jump into this game.
Alrighty, guys. Well, in the bottom right-hand corner, we have spawning as the blue Zerg. We have Szyky.
And in the bottom left, we have the red Terran Ultra. Now, I think this is actually a pretty good map for Terran against Zerg. Both races don't hate this map. I feel like Protoss really hates this map against either matchup.
There's just so many bases for Protoss to deal with versus the other races. But you're right. I feel like this is one of the most played maps ever, though, and I don't think anyone's gonna be like super upset to see. You know, it's not like you're playing on something that's ridiculous. So,
can you imagine a world where a hugely imbalanced map was also the most popular map?
Oh, I'm sure. I remember the first time I played StarCraft, the most popular. I couldn't get any other game except for Python. I was just like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, and even before then, it was Lost Temple, which is also pretty brutal.
Lost Temple.
The one thing I do enjoy currently is that we get a pretty constant influx of new maps, but there's always a couple mainstays, right? Like you'll always have a map like Eclipse, or previously Polypoid, or previously Sylphid, that'll hang around for a little bit longer. But the constant inclusion of new maps like really keeps the game from getting stale. You see a lot of metas being developed, constant changes and optimizations. But then it's always nice to go back to an older map and then implement those same strategies. So we'll see what happens here, but so far so standard. Rax from Ultra, and we have middle scout from Szyky, and he's gonna go bottom left.
I think it's a really good point about the maps, actually, is that It's nice too that like the map building or the map making community kind of builds on each other's kind of innovations and all that. Like we don't see too many ridiculous maps coming through. Like they all have their individual like unique features to them or whatever. But you can generally rely on the fact that the map pool is going to be reasonably well balanced, right? So there's always like changes in the way that the matches get played individually on each map, but it's not like we have seen like a meta outside of the weird island season of ASL like that was like so ridiculous and surprising. I tend to feel like the map making community because the game is so old, like has really matured. Like you can really see when you play on peaks of Beakdu, right? Like what is that map, dude? You look at the natural expansion, like what the hell is this? But since then, the map making community has really discovered some of these conventions that really contribute to balance. So, you know, they're always awesome, fun maps to play on that are new but aren't crazy like that, and that's always very much appreciated. Lots of links coming across the map though, with no bunker or low ground depot. There's the bunker now.
Yeah, and this is 2 Rex from Ultra, and well, 5 Lings won't beat 4 Marines, especially if they get on the ramp, but it does force the bunker, which is very annoying. Gets the scouting SCB, which is huge because he doesn't know how many more Lings are following us up. Ling's gonna arrive just a little bit too late. Ultra instant with that bunker loading animation. Gonna peel off 2 Lings. This is actually very annoying for Terran to deal with. Those Lings not attacking really. That was strange.
Yeah, the bunker position, unfortunately, has to be kind of there at the bottom of the ramp to guard both of those positions as it was so late. So now the Lings can actually get into natural expansion, getting multiple SCVs and Marines. This is huge. Even if there's no additional Ling follow-up, killing these early Marines going to make the Mutalisks or the Lurkers, depending on what the tech is, likely going to be Mutalisks, much more effective. Anytime you can peel off a couple of the Marines in the early portion of the game, it's very difficult. It makes it very difficult for Terran to kind of defend the initial couple of Mutalisks and start putting on pressure across the map.
That was fantastic. That was 2 Lings without speed, getting 2 SCVs, pulling up SCV pull, and getting 2 Marines, and he's even going to damage another one. So a lot of damage done, and not a lot of Zerg players, upon seeing a bunker, will decide to go for that kind of play. So fantastic value. Oh, we actually have maybe this was a rally earlier. This is a drone that, I mean, Zergs have no reason to look there ever. They're always looking at their hatcheries. It might be just slightly out of vision, so it's possible Sziky just never moves that drone.
Yeah, that would be really unfortunate here. Very confusing. We have the 3rd down and an excellent timing here. Marines going to make their way across the map here, but as you said, already a good number of Marines have been killed just by the speedlings here, which is ridiculous. Another one's going to get picked off by 3 Zerglings. This is crazy.
Yeah, crazy good value. This is a lot less menacing now with only 7 Marines. This was potentially 10, and 10 with 2 medics is a little bit scary. But 7, just a couple Sunkens, not even going to need Ling support really.
You can't see on the mini-map though. The drone really still is just kind of hanging out there. Little unfortunate of
maybe he'll see it now with the Mutalisks.
But yeah, you are so right about this. You know, unfortunate that the drone was sitting out there. But I mean, I feel like the value that's been gotten out of the Lings more than makes up for the fact that drone wasn't mining. But yeah, it is funny to see like the literal top Zerg make a silly mistake like that. But man, those Marines are I would be so scared for those Marines, dude. They are bunched up right now, but they don't have enough DPS to really threaten Mutalisks. And as you can see, the Mutalisks just waiting for like 1 or 2 more before they decide to go in on this, and then that's just going to be completely murdered. Marine medic ball, and he didn't really force any Lings. The Mutalisks got to kind of come out slowly instead of waiting for like a big pop or anything like that. The 3rd is already up and running. Things are going so good right now for Sziky. Ultra is just getting obliterated by the micro. Look at that, even pulls the injured Muta back so it doesn't lose any. And wow, so impressive by Sziky right now.
Yeah, didn't lose a single Mutalisk there and killed 7 Marines and 2 medics. And now Ultra is pretty much pinned, and you can see he's still only on 2 racks, no 3rd racks, not even a factory, so it's not gonna be there's a factory finally. But this is very slow tech for the build he's doing, and Szyky already has a 3rd base, and the fact that it's on the low ground means that when he wants to take a 4th base, it'll also be very easy. Turret position isn't ideal either. The Mutalisk can dive and get a lot of SCVs here. Gonna delay this factory additionally.
Marines having to defend the bunkers too. Like, there's just so many angles here for these Mutalisks to come in, and Szyky is not one to miss any of that. This is so ridiculous. Szyky's got his evolution chamber starting to get that carapace upgrade going really quickly. Throws on a macro hatch already. 3rd is totally, like, not even under threat. Doesn't need to make any defenses there even. Muta's just going to be able to keep everything in the base, and dude, this hive timing is going to be insane. Ultra's just going to get, like, totally destroyed here if he doesn't make some changes to this game right away. It's just so ridiculous when you watch a player like Szyky play, right? Like, when I'm playing, you know, I'm just doing my thing. I get my mutas out. Szyky, you know, he's about to lose a Mutalisk, he just pulls it out. You know, it's like, whatever, dude, not a big deal. But how do you think about that kind of stuff? Like, that's not the type of thing that any player outside of the tippy top of the foreigner scene does. And how do you overcome that? Like, clearly you can see these tiny differences in the way that these players play. Szyky is just pulling Ultra apart with just minimal amounts of units here. The difference that he has with his control of his Zerglings and the control of his Mutalisks and everything has completely changed the way that this game goes. And it's such a pleasure to watch a high-level player play against, you know, Ultra like this, and just showing really the difference between their skill level. And this is what I was really worried about going on in this game with Ultra.
Yeah, and you can see Ultra is going into Valkyries, but Valkyries are not going to be great against what Szyky's doing, because Szyky, I think he's going for crazy Zerg, essentially. Yeah. No, actually have a Hydrogen, so just going fast Carabase to get upgrades on his Lurkers. But he already has 3 base, and soon he's going to be able to take 4. And Valkyries, like, if that's what this is for, because I see more barracks, I don't see a science facility.
Yeah, famously not good against Ultras, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like it's just too late to go Valkyrie here. He's already going to have Hive. Like, the Valkyrie timing is, you want to hit before they have Lurker, not before they have Defiler. Like, he's just missing the optimal timing to go. Like, he's basically pinned here in his base.
Yeah, but what can you do, right? I mean, like, the thing is that he's never had it. Like, it's not like it's been a decision to not attack, you know what I mean? It's just Szyky's been killing too much crap all over. Earlier with the Lings, now with the Mutas. Like, look at the tiny little army in the natural, in the main. Like, that's all he's got. How do you move out against, you know, a full group of Mutas with 10 Marines?
Oh, man. First Valkyrie even gonna get picked off.
Oh, no. Barely gets out. Yeah, we already have a drone now position. It looks like we're creating that top right-hand corner base here. 4-base Zerg is all the bases you need to kill a Terran, especially if they're still stuck on 2. And high tech is just gonna, I mean, like, you don't even, right now, you don't even need to go high tech. There's a potential just to lose to these Mutas and Lings. Like, the Marine count is disastrously low. Both the Valkyries get sniped off by Scourge. Look at the Mutas. They're just totally fine. This Lurker attack is going to crush the natural expansion.
Yeah, and this is usually what you see when Zerg is committing heavily into Lair. But Szyky already has Hive on a 4th base, and he's putting Lurkers aggressively at the front. He's even getting macro hatches now, and an Ultralisk cavern.
Yeah, Zyky's got literally everything he could possibly ask for.
This is going to be a brutal counter here.
Oh no, all the units move out across the map. Oh hey, there's Lurkers in my base. Wow, this is not ideal. And yeah.
And the rallied science vessel is going to get picked off as well. I mean, everything just going wrong here for Ultra. Just impeccable control. You can see cracklings at the natural as well. Marine's going to fight these Lurkers and not even going to be able to deal with the Mutalisk in the air. Just absolutely got crushed there with that move out.
This is the fight that you want to see at the Zerg third. You know what I mean? You don't want this happening at your natural. And just like that, Ultra gets eliminated. That is their last Terran for today. Sziky doing a spectacular job, killing every opponent that he's got put up against him. One more match, dude.
Potentially, we could see Yeti flip the script here.
Oh, that is true. That is true. I kind of forgot that we still have Avi in reserve in case Sziky goes down somehow. That's crazy. Man, Zerg's really kind of changing the story a little bit here. And what a lineup it's been, you know. True Touch first, Sziky second, and Avi in reserve. Extremely powerful lineup today for the Zergs. We also had the potential of OctZerg, but he is in the peanut gallery cheering on his race today instead. We have, looks like Nyokin giving a good try to Ultra. You know, Ultra is not a bad player, guys. Ultra is a great Terran, and to see him get obliterated like that by Sziky, man, it really just speaks to his level. He is true Zerg master, man.
Yeah, and this was just all game long, from the early Lings, 2 Lings getting that much damage done, to the early Mutalists, not losing a single Mutalist to that bio group. Just never, and we're just relentless with the Mutalist harass. The Lang Tech, getting SCVs here and there, getting Marines here and there, just non-stop. I mean, that just shows what it takes to have high-level Zerg. You can't just sit back in macro and take fights when you can. You really have to force the issue and gain value out of the units you do make.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really salient statement too. Like, when you're mid to low level Zerg, like, you see a lot more passivity, but once you get to the incredibly high level, all the Zergs are always making plays. They're out there being aggressive and being scary, and it's kind of great too, because that's kind of you know, thematically what Zerg has been well known for as well. And of course, if we take a look at the player card here, Sziky, looking to be, you know, like the dojo leader of like a Cobra Kai dojo with his bandana and sunglasses here, out to fucking kick ass and take names, man. He was looking scary in his picture here. But we're gonna be going up against Yeti next, and again, I just feel like Sziky is in a league of his own when it comes to what we're going to see in this game here. Looks like we're gonna be heading over to Tau Cross. Look at how old this mini map picture is. We're still in like the 256 colored days here. But again, a 3-player map. Tau Cross, how do you feel about this one for Protoss? Because again, like, there's just not too many attack paths for Protoss. I don't feel like it's particularly difficult to make strong defenses here at the bridges. And again, because of the 3-player, the whole 3-player factor, I feel like Zerg really does get to be able to take over this. Now, I don't know the map statistics, so you're gonna have to tell me. But what do you think about the map choice here?
I think historically it's slightly Zerg favored in this matchup, but I want to mention something. I actually think this is one of the hardest, if not the hardest, map to play late game PvZ on. And once we get into the map, I'll explain why. But as far as the early mid game, I think it's always going to be slightly Zerg favored because it's very open. The third base is very open, hard to defend, a lot of counter paths for Zerg. But early mid game, I think it's actually playable for Protoss. You can always build towards that big timing of 2 bases, and if you get good fights, you can just end the game outright.
Alrighty, guys. Well, we are ready to go ahead and get on into the matchup here. We're good.
All right, in the top right swan, we have the Zerg champion. A lot of points on the board for him today, Sziky.
And in the bottom right, we have spawning as the final non-Zerg player in the tournament. We got Yeti.
All right, I want you to look at the map. You're Yeti. Let's say you somehow get into mid-game against Sziky. You have a big army and you're expanding, right?
Mm-hmm.
You take your 3 bases, then you probably take bottom left mineral only. And then what other gas base can you possibly take? There isn't one. There literally just isn't another gas base. The other near base near you is a mineral only, and if you want to take another natural, that's probably Sziky's option more than it is yours.
Yeah, certainly.
So this is a map where you can be very limited on gas in the late game. You just don't want to go late game against Zerg on this map. You want to end it somewhere in the mid game because it can be very oppressive.
That is just, I just feel like that's so hard to do too against a Zerg on the level of like Sziky. Like you can kill me, you can kill lots of players with like an 8-gate timing and stuff like that. But once you get into like the true like upper echelons of players, I don't know how, I mean, 2-base aggression is certainly strong, but that's something that you've played against for years now as a player like Sziky, you know what I mean? Like, so what's the plan? Are you thinking like a 8-gate timing? Or what are we looking at here? What are Yeti's options? Okay, nothing crazy going on just yet. I do see that Sziky has really been favoring the pool first here. Kind of interesting. We haven't seen any real hatch first versus Protoss yet.
Hello? Was I muted that whole time?
Yes, you were.
Oh my god.
I was like, damn, dude, just leave me hanging. That's cold. All right.
Oh man. Well,
yeah, so mid-game options. What's his option for making big 2-base play here at this point?
Well, I basically see it going only one way where Protoss can win against Sziky on this map. You have to get an early advantage and build on it from there. Because if you're just going straight up macro into straight up macro, I'm not really sure it's going to be enough. Okay, 6 lings. This can already be potentially lethal. You only have 1 cannon. Even if you get a block here, oh man, this is tight. Because the wall isn't going to be tight. There's a way to get a 1-gap wall. This actually is 1-gap wall. The 1 probe can't get picked off though.
Sziky not one to really mess up too much with his. Oh, but we do have pulled probes.
I think the forge is actually tight though. Okay, so it looks like we're not having a. Oh, yes, we are. We are diving on
probes. For it.
1 down. 1 probe for 3 lings.
Not a bad trade.
I feel like Yeti should now retreat his other drones. Only his other probes. Doesn't really need to keep it plugged.
Yeah, that is a good point. He just is kind of, essentially for no reason, kind of wasting some mining time here because he does know that there's no more lings on the way. He has the probe scout alive in the main, totally able to see everything. So nothing's going to take him by surprise at this moment. But okay, so let's go back to it then. So how do we get an early advantage here? I mean, he does go forge first, so there's no early zealot aggression. And from there, Protoss is famously kind of chill for quite a long time. You know, you have the 6 zealot move out or the 4 zealot move out or whatever, and then after that, it's wait until storm time. So what are we talking about? Like, do we want to just get a really great couple engagements with storm as soon as the Templars come out here, or are you talking like go Citadel first and do like some kind of big zealot attack?
Man. Are we gonna get this? Okay, it looks like the probe is gonna get in. This was pretty big because now he confirms its lair. But really, Yeti, I guess his best option is just to not die and hope Zerg messes up somewhere. And well, if he's just playing standard, you can build up towards a really strong army. And if you can nail your storms, fight Zerg where they're coming at you from an awkward angle, then really force the issue, then maybe you can get an advantage just from the fights. But so far, it was 6 lings. We only got the 1 probe, but we did force probes off mining. There's a Spire on time. Not gonna lose maybe maximum of 1 Overlord. So far a normal game. But okay, this is good. You get 1 Zealot. You're forcing 3 drones to not mine. This is already pretty annoying.
Look at that Zealot just chilling back there, getting his little pocket so he can fight these as efficiently as possible. Unfortunately, 3 Zerglings able to get on there for a little bit, but actually not a super efficient trade for the Lings overall.
and we actually have the first Corsair in production. No +1, and this always to me, like even if you're not going to invest in 6 Sairs, I feel like +1 is a must get, because say Zerg ever switches into Mutalisk, then you're really going to be wishing you had that +1. And this is all looking like Mutalisk. This is looking potentially, it's just going to be Hydrogen. If it's not, this is looking exactly what he did against Bonyth on Sylphid, and we saw he got a fantastic position out of that.
All right, Sarah making it in, going to see what's going on here. Nothing that he didn't already know being confirmed just yet. Looks like we have a big drop in resources.
Yeah, and there's the +1 spinning. Only 2 Sairs. So he's going to need more. Okay, cannon in the main makes sense. Gonna probably need cannon at the natural as well.
Yeah, very good timed defenses and everything like that so far. There goes the cannon down in the natural, as you mentioned. So Yeti not looking to get taken by surprise at all here by the Mutalisks.
Interesting. This isn't okay. They're coming out now. It's just gonna be the 5 Mutalisk he did against Bonyth. Again, you gotta be careful with the Sairs, because you always know they're gonna be a scourge here, and losing Corsairs is extremely painful. Every Corsair costs 100 gas. You don't want to make more Corsairs than you need. You want to switch into high Templars. Finding a nice area here. It looks like a couple of missed volleys, but forcing probes off gas, absolutely valuable here. Even forces a cannon on the second cannon, and I mean, even though this might not look like a lot of damage, this is not how you want this to go as Protoss. Even gonna get one Corsair potentially here. Looks like he hasn't committed with the Scourge dive. Looks like he's going there as he targets another probe. And if you can see, this is just a lot of probes already been taken out, and he hasn't lost a single Mutal. It's just trading the Corsairs. And again, look at Yeti, really struggling to keep pace with Sziky. No probes back on gas. And again, only 5 Mutalists, so we're already switching into Hydralists.
It is super unfortunate that that specific spawn has the gas on the other side there. So the cannon in the mineral line not even offering a semblance of protection to the probes that are mining the gas there. Any like in the top right hand corner, for example, in Zyky's base, there's no issue with that. You just put the cannon in the mineral line and it helps cover that. No big deal. But unfortunately, in the spawn that Yeti's got right now, he has to put another cannon there in order to be able to defend that. Now we do have some of the Mutalisks getting caught here with good moving fire. We can potentially get some pickoffs here. Decides to go ahead and just say try to focus the one lacking Mutalisk there, but could have been potentially somewhat disastrous. We do have the Corsair count now getting into a position where these Mutalisks are never going to really want to go engage on them anymore, and we do have speeds or zealots now on the field here. The third didn't look particularly well defended here, and we did see, oh, well, never mind, I totally lied to you. It's pretty good defenses here. Lots of hydros on the map, and of course going to be able to rotate from either the natural to the third or vice versa to be able to defend that. It looks like we even have potential for an expansion here in the top left-hand corner in a little bit as well.
Yeah, it's very easy for Zerg to reinforce natural to third. On this map, there's no terrain obstructing the path of the Hydras, completely wide open. One difference between this game against Yeti and the one against Bonyth, Sziky went up to 6 hatcheries before making a single Hydralist. In that previous game, he only had 5. So he was really able to just push back. Here, he had less units, but still able to defend, and he has an even stronger economic position. And on the flip side, Yeti only now have his 4th, 5th, and 6th gateways gone down. So really invested a lot in the anti-Mutalist defense with all the cannons and the Corsairs. And again, it was only 5 Mutalists, and Sziky got a lot of value from them.
Yeah, it's actually crazy to point out. There's, I think, like 5 cannons in the natural and 2 in the main, or at least 1 in the main. I mean, that is so much money invested into not getting harassed by these Mutalisks. And unfortunately, that's going to really cut into his ability to be aggressive. Oh my gosh, losing Corsairs to Hydralisks on the field. Very unfortunate. If those Corsair numbers ever get too low, you can always have a big switch to Mutalisk, and that makes for a very painful thing for the Protoss army to fight. We do have the Speed Zealots coming across the map here to go ahead and see what's up on the other side of the map. Not really going to be able to do anything, though, as a very large Hydralisk army plus the Mutalisks are going to be able to stop this completely. And losing these Zealots here for nothing, maybe... I mean, how do you secure a third?
Yeah, it's looking pretty grim now. Hydralisk number is growing. We do have High Templars banking energy, but I mean, this wall gateway is going to be killed probably. And I think Yeti probably wants his gateway to be killed so he can actually get out of his space later. Do we have a robo anywhere? Because pretty soon, okay, we do have a robo. So Yeti not missing a beat, getting a second forge, getting a robotech. But Szyky already has 6 hatchery, and I think that's a 4th base, 7th hatch going down at 12 pretty soon.
Man, things looking just so good for Szyky, just barely behind on the supply, and that's so strong for Zerg. You really want to be quite a bit ahead as a Protoss player going to try and take your third base here. We have a decent storm coming here at the natural expansion, catching a couple of units here, but the lurker's going to be able to potentially do a big contain here at the natural expansion. Having lurkers outside your base before you're even able to get a third is a huge liability for Protoss. You're going to have to use tons of storms and things like that to be able to push out on the map here. And of course, being contained into a choke like at the natural is really terrible for these Zealots. So at the very last second before he gets contained, Yeti moves his army out of the natural expansion. This is actually a huge positional victory. Here we go, chasing down the Zerg army now. Yeti makes the decision to go for it. Where are the High Templars, though? They are way in the back of the army here. Corsairs actually getting scared off a little bit here by the large Hydra army. And big storms, though, covers the entire Hydralisk army. Now the Lurker's getting stormed as well. Very nicely done so far in this engagement, but we do still need to get an observer here. Otherwise, these units are going to be on an island here, getting pushed into a corner, as no way of really contesting the Lurkers outside of using those very valuable storms.
Yes, Yeti doesn't have an observer. There aren't a ton of Lurkers. There's still 5 High Templars. So, but Szyky can advance with these Lurkers. They are crumpled out, so 2 can get killed by 1 storm. Very nice storm on top of the Hydralisk and some Lurkers. But again, more Hydra Lurker coming. And now this army can't retreat. It's backed into a corner. I mean, another massive storm, but you can see just the army gets picked apart here, and there's no way for Yeti to reinforce, and there's still no observer in sight.
This is such a nightmare situation when you've got a very zealot-heavy army and, you know, Hydralisk ping-ponging your army back between the two. There's no winning there. You just slowly take damage and your army dies, and wow, just completely collapsed on by 270-degree radius attack from the Zerg player. And now there is no chance of getting a third. Look, we have like 5-6 Dragoons and 2 Zealots. That's the whole army right now versus just a gigantic, unending wave of Hydralisks and Lurkers now coming into the natural expansion. Yeti, once again, trying to not get contained into this choke, because that would be the absolute worst thing that could happen to him at this point. But unfortunate for him, there's nothing that he can do. You know, you push out of that natural, you're dead. You stay in that natural, you're dead. What's the play here? There is none. And here we go, units flowing in the natural.
Doesn't even have High Templars, only 1 coming on out, but that won't have enough energy for Storm. And just getting busted, just the overwhelming number of production hatcheries that Szyky has allowed him to just push through, take a good fight, and then just overwhelm Protoss. And well, natural getting broken, just a couple cannons. Only 1 cannon actually left. I haven't seen a single observer either.
Yeah, pretty hard to hit units that you can't actually target without an observer. The real only way to deal with them at this point is just the Storm. And, you know, Storm is so valuable. You need Storm not just for the Lurkers, but you have to kill the Hydralisks too. Hydras and Lings are so efficient versus vanilla gateway units. Like, you can't just be using all your Storms to clear up the Lurkers. So, as we said, you know, he's just slowly getting crushed, and there goes the natural expansion. Yeti trying his very best to defend, but man, did he get outclassed, unfortunately, in this game. And Szyky just walking all over his natural expansion with an enormous number of Zerg units.
Yeah, more there finally is the GG from Yeti, and Szyky has won for Team Zerg today.
Yeah,
very impressive
what a good
run.
day it's been. Finally, some points on the board for the Zerg. And that's nice. We're going to even it up a little bit here. It looks like let's see, how many points did we get? So that's 5 for Zerg today. So gonna put them still in last place, but significantly better standing than they were at the start of today. You know, there was a lot of things going against them too. You know, had to play against some of the best Terrans. I would say Terra, Danny, and Ultra. Like the 3 names in the Terran world right now. Of course, there are a couple more high-level Terrans in the scene, but those are you know, the big Latin American 3. They're terrifying to play against. And Szyky was able to take out everybody, took out Bonyth even, and made it a great Zerg day, man. So I'm very happy to see the scores getting kind of evened up a little better.
Impressive run for Szyky. Got all the points for Team Zerg today, and finally gets Zerg somewhat catching up to the other races. They're not that too far behind now. So very impressive from Szyky. And well, that wraps up Race Wars day number 4. And I gotta mention, I mean, taking out Bonyth, Dandy, G5 Ultra, Yeti, all back to back without breaks in pretty long macro games. All things considered, no game was really short, only this one. And the one versus Ultra ended before the 15-minute mark. So very impressive from Szyky.
You know what's crazy too is that they were all so convincing wins. Like the one game I feel like looked like there was potential to lose was the beginning of the game versus G5, and that was it. Everything else he played so dominantly. Like there was even versus Bonyth, there was never a point where I was like worried for Szyky, like the outcome of the game. So what an incredibly impressive day from him overall. Like an awesome job. And I also want to say, as far as impressiveness goes, we've got 135 viewers on the Trovo stream, so that's pretty awesome as well. So thank you all for showing up. I hope you guys like the content, and really appreciate you guys, you know, always being supportive of this scene. And of course, thanks to my co-caster Seriosity and Zero for putting us on. I really appreciate how much StarCraft that's been out lately. It's been a lot of fun being able to watch it all.
Yeah, and of course, tomorrow on Sunday, BSL round of 16 is back. And where were we going? Yeah, here we go. Tomorrow, Group C, and then Group D. Gonna wrap up the round of 16. See who finally advances into the round of 8. We have Szyky, Avi-Love, DeWalt, and Chin, and we have Mihu, last season's champion, Quark, Bonyth, and San Hoon. So it's gonna be very good groups. Tune in for that. And of course, every Thursday and Friday, we have Race Wars on Trovo. And thanks to all the Patreon supporters. If you want to support, Patreon is one of the ways to do so. You can see in the $100 tier, we have Star Lover. In the $50 tier, we have Martin, Striker, Zero Sum, Coles, Tupac, a little bit, Blizzard. In the $30 tier, and LML, Link Pump, Quark. A lot of people supporting BSL via Patreon. If you can't, just tune in, spread the word, spread the love. There's a lot of BSL now, 4 days a week out of the 7. There's something for you to watch.
Yeah, guys, and just for the record too, I believe the donation goal to make season 2 happen for BSL Race Wars is $2,000. Yeah. Okay, cool. Confirmed by Zero. So we want to hit that 2K mark if you guys like that BSL Race Wars stuff. I honestly think this is really, really fun content. I'm getting to see a lot of cool players playing on a lot of cool maps. So if you guys have enjoyed that, please try and help us hit that $2,000 goal here so we can see season 2. But yeah, thank you guys all so much for tuning in. Really appreciate you all being here.